It's Friday the 13th in Los Angeles, and the D-backs are back in town. Friday Night Baseball is presented by your helpful Valley Honda dealers. It was 1 year and 2 days ago, right here at Dodger Stadium, that the bench is empty. Tonight, a matchup of all-star first base candidates, while rookie Chase Anderson looks to repeat his performance from last month when he beat Clayton Kershaw and these Dodgers. It's round 2 tonight here on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Dodger Stadium. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly along the way. The D-backs catching the Dodgers at a good time right now. They have some key injuries. They have some key bats that are slumping, and they have not played well at home this year. So, Bob, a chance tonight for Paul Goldschmidt to pick up some all-star votes.
Well, if we have anything to say about it, he'll definitely pick up some votes tonight. I mean, we're big Goldie fans, no question about it. We have the great luck to see him on a daily basis, and I don't think there's a first baseman that combines the skills that he has quite like Goldie does. Adrian Gonzalez, certainly a good offensive player, good defensive player, but Goldie can run the bases. He leads by example with his ball club. Should be a great race right down the wire. We encourage you D-backs fans to go online and vote.
Yeah, and when you look at the two players head-to-head set for the All-Star Game July 15th on Fox from Target Field in Minneapolis, the only number that doesn't favor Goldie is the vote total. Got to change that.
We'll definitely have to change that. And once again, go online tonight. You can vote up to 35 times each time you sign in to dbacks.com. Go do it, fans.
A rematch of the pitching matchup we saw last month back home in the Valley. Chase Anderson for the D-backs, Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers. We know what they have to do. They have to handle Kershaw. What else should be at the top of the D-backs watch list tonight?
Keep the fast guys off base. The Dodgers are stealing bases at an unbelievable rate. They have 75 already this season, 22 more than the second place team. Of course, D. Gordon has 36 of those, but best thing to do is keep those guys off the bases.
They are led by D. Gordon, of course, who leads the major leagues in steals, their high flyer and second baseman. It's an NL West rematch. More from Dodger Stadium when we come back. Chase Anderson and Clayton Kershaw, the D-backs and the Dodgers, coming up on Fox Sports Arizona. Arizona is brought to you in part by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Jack in the Box. If the D-backs hit a home run today, score a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow with a purchase of a large drink.
Almost as if written on a script, a Chamber of Commerce night for baseball here in Southern California. Welcome back to Dodger Stadium here in Fox Sports Arizona. We're just moments away from the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks game one of this three-game series. I'm Todd Walsh now hanging out inside the Diamondbacks dugout. As I said in the pregame show at the top of our coverage, when I come to Los Angeles and Dodger Stadium, first thing I think about is pitching, as Steve and Bob alluded to. Great matchup here tonight in game one. Let's take a look at it. In fact, it's a rematch. Chase Anderson and Clayton Kershaw. You know the drill on Clayton. His numbers speak for themselves right now. Chase Anderson has yet to lose at the dawn of his Major League Baseball career. Chasing a bit of history, he's 5-0. But let's go back. We have to, don't we? To May 17th at Chase Field. And what a night it was. Really for the bottom of the order. They got it all started against Clayton Kershaw. 18-7 was the final. Kershaw pulled after 1 2/3. 21 hits total in that game. Clayton said after the game, I just got hit hard. I don't know why. I can't make any excuses. But I love what Don Mattingly said earlier today about his ace. We know one thing. He's going to attack. In 4 starts since that, his ERA at 2.08. The Dodgers know he's going to attack, and so too to these Arizona Diamondbacks. We've set the table. We'll take a break. When we come back, it's time for first pitch. Chase Anderson and Clayton Kershaw. Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Steve and Bob here on Fox Sports Arizona.
Stadium debut after beating these Dodgers and Clayton Kershaw last month at Chase Field. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly back with you. First of 3 D-backs and Dodgers this weekend. And on the mound for L.A., it's their Arizona Ford starting pitcher, Clayton Kershaw, the reigning National League Cy Young winner. D-backs knocked him around his last time out. His manager is Don Mattingly.
I do think today's game ought to be interesting. We'll see how he comes back out of that. And obviously he pitched well right after that. Didn't seem to bother him any. And with Clayton, it's always on to the next one. And he'll probably blame himself for not executing this or executing that. But I think the one thing we know with Clayton, he'll be on the attack today. Won't be backing off or really worrying about it.
What do you think, Bob? Can he just brush that off? Knocked out of the game in the second inning by these D-backs?
I think that was long enough ago for a starting pitcher of the caliber of a Clayton Kershaw to let it go and move on. He's been really good his last 2 starts against the White Sox and the Rockies. A total of 13 innings pitched that surrendered only 7 hits and 3 runs, 18 punch-outs, no walks.
Chris Owings leads it off for Arizona. 1-1 to the D-backs shortstop at .269 on the year and 6 home runs. A home run last night in Houston. His 3rd home run already this month, matching his total from all of May. A perfect night for baseball here at Chavez Ravine. 1-2.
That's one thing you cannot do. Clayton Kershaw is a strike thrower, as we mentioned. He's always around the plate, rarely walks anybody, rarely falls behind in the count, but you can't do him favors. You can't swing at pitches out of the strike zone. If you do it once, he'll go right back to it again.
Kershaw beat the D-backs in the Sydney season opener. But last time out, May 17th, we showed you the numbers a moment ago, knocked out of the game in the 2nd inning. 2 balls and 2 strikes just underway here at Dodger Stadium. Slow roller to third. Sean Figgins, the veteran, is over there. He throws it out, 1 away. This is the lineup for the Diamondbacks in the series opener.
Now we've seen Chris Owings at the top. He'll be playing shortstop. Gerardo Parra in right field. Paul Goldschmidt, 8 game-winning RBIs against the Dodgers since the 2012 season. Aaron Hill at second base. Martin Prado over at third. Cody Ross in left field tonight. Tuffy Goswitch getting a start behind the plate against the lefty. David Peralta in center field tonight, and right-hander Chase Anderson on the mound for the D-backs.
Gerardo Parra, the right fielder. First pitch swinging, knocks it into right. A base hit against the lefty Kershaw. A 1-out base runner for the Diamondbacks. Here comes Paul Goldschmidt. Here is his opposite number tonight, Adrian Gonzalez.
He's a great player, great hitter. Turning into one of the best in the game, and coming into his own, which is great. He had an unbelievable year last year, and continuing that success this year. So he's a consistent player, and I think he's going to be good for a long time there.
The 2 all-star candidates for the National League starting job at first base. A head-to-head matchup this weekend. We'll have all 3 games for you right here on Fox Sports Arizona. So here's Goldie. First pitch is swung on and fouled back. No player in the National League has more hits. Leading the league in total bases, leading the majors in doubles, and 4th in the league in slugging, which is why that OPS is now over 930.
How about that base hit by Gerardo Parra? He's hitting around 150 against lefties this year. Clayton Kershaw has held lefties to a 105 batting average, so Gerardo Parra gets the first base hit of the game. Of course, it makes sense.
Parra 155 versus left-hand pitching this year. That's down from just under 200 last year, something the D-backs said this spring they would hope he would improve on. So far, so good tonight. 1-1 to Goldie. This is inside.
As you can see from Kershaw's delivery out of the stretch, very, very tough to get a jump on, very tough to run against. I wouldn't expect the Diamondbacks to even try unless it's possibly a hit and run situation.
Parra down there with first base coach Dave McKay, 4 for 8 in his stolen base attempts this year. Base hit for Goldie. A pair of 1-out singles for the D-backs. A good start against Clayton Kershaw.
Batting in second baseman number 4, Aaron Hill.
Got some oohs and ahs from the fans here in the early going at Dodger Stadium. They're used to seeing Paul Goldschmidt bang the ball around Dodger Stadium. A clean single into left field through that hole at third and short.
He likes to hit here. He told me that earlier today. Had a conversation with Goldie in the dugout. We'll be showing you some of that throughout the broadcast. 2 on, 1 out. Here's Aaron Hill. Enough with that DH nonsense. He's back at second base. 246 and 6 homers. There's the strike, 0-1. James Hoy, the plate umpire tonight. Don Mattingly's team Scuffling a bit as of late. Only 2 games over 500. They have not played well at home here this year. 0-2.
In the midst of the Diamondbacks trying to right their own ship after that horrible start, it's amazing how some teams have really fallen on hard times lately. I was amazed to see the Tampa Bay Rays 25-42 sitting in dead last in that American League East. Philadelphia Phillies only have 28 wins on the season. Starting to pass some people.
The 0-2. Yeah, the D-backs have been winning more games than the Dodgers have lately. Since April 30th, Diamondbacks the 4th best winning percentage in the National League, behind only the Giants, the Marlins, and the Pirates. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Aaron Hill. 2 on, 1 out. Drops it in there for a called strike 3, 2 down.
Well, you rarely see a left-handed pitcher knee buckle a right-handed hitter with a curveball, but that's exactly what happened here. Kershaw just dropped that curveball out of the clouds onto the outside corner.
So 2 outs for Martin Prado. Martin 276, 2 homers. He's got Gerardo Parra standing at second base. Paul Goldschmidt at first. D-backs with a chance here to get to Kershaw early. Strike 1. Prado 2 for his last 19 following a 6-game hitting streak. Rolls away from A.J. Ellis, who was just activated from the DL to start the ball game tonight. 1-1.
Ellis slowed at the beginning of the season, recovering from a knee surgery, and then sprained his ankle. Spent some more time on the disabled list, just off tonight.
He just came back. They are without Juan Uribe and Carl Crawford, both on the DL. Hanley Ramirez has had a bad shoulder this week, but he's in there tonight at shortstop. 1-1 to Martin Prado. Kershaw a little agitated out there.
He's somewhat of a perfectionist out there on the mound. You heard his manager Don Mattingly talk about blaming himself for not executing pitches, and that was a perfect example right there. Really frustrated with that last delivery.
Comes inside, backs Prado off just a bit. It's 3 balls and 1 strike.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Three and 2 with 2 outs. Runners will be off for the pitch. There go the runners. Prado lifts it up first base side. Easy play for Gonzalez. Kershaw strands 2. We are playing ball in Los Angeles. D-backs and Dodgers set for the home half of the first inning. Your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks is Chase Anderson, just the third pitcher of the majors since 1998 to win his first 5 starts in the big leagues. One of those was against these Dodgers May 17th at Chase Field when he beat Clayton Kershaw.
And if you haven't seen Chase Anderson, real good fastball command, generally keeps it out of the middle of the plate, a devastating swing and miss straight changeup, and will mix in an occasional curveball, especially on first pitch.
Well, Father's Day weekend here, and Chase, before each start, draws initials in the dirt. His father and 2 grandmothers all passed. Chase's parents were separated when he was 12. He lived with his father, Robert, who raised him. Chase said they did everything together. His dad passed away of a heart attack during spring training a few years ago. And his father was in Arizona and had seen Chase pitch only 2 days before. And so on this Father's Day weekend, the rookie who made his major league debut with a win on Mother's Day steps to toe the rubber here at Dodger Stadium. D. Gordon leads it off for LA. .280, the on-base percentage critical, .327 for the leadoff man, and you see the 36 stolen bases. That leads the major leagues. And as Bob said at the top of our show, one of the keys for the Diamondbacks, not only tonight but in this series, keep number 9 off the bases.
I mean, they have 75 stolen bases as a team. D. Gordon has almost half of those all by himself.
Paul Goldschmidt, Martin Prado well in on the grass at first and third respectively. Anderson behind immediately here, 3-0.
Now for me, D. Gordon is one of those leadoff hitters. You just throw him up and out over the plate, try to get him to hit the ball in the air to the opposite field. Doesn't really have gap power, doesn't have home run power the other way. And if you can get him to hit the ball in the air, you got a good chance of getting him out.
Anderson back with a couple of strikes to make it 3-2. James Hoy behind the plate. Close. There you go. Perfect. Backs up David Peralta in center field. Up into that light sky, and they have kept Gordon off the bases. 1 down. Dodger lineup from manager Don Mattingly.
We've seen D. Gordon at the top. He'll be playing second base. Hanley Ramirez with a gimpy shoulder at shortstop. Yasiel Puig in right field. Adrian Gonzalez has been a D-backs killer this season. Watch out for him. Matt Kemp in left field. Andre Ethier in center. A.J. Ellis back off the disabled list doing the catching. Sean Figgins at third base, and lefty Clayton Kershaw on the mound for the Dodgers.
And here is Hanley Ramirez. He did not play for the Dodgers yesterday in Cincinnati. Did not start Wednesday's game. 255 and 10 homers. Slowed by a nagging shoulder injury. And he fouls off the first pitch. They are calling it an irritation of the AC joint in his right shoulder. He did have a cortisone shot, and it was in fact a late green light for the lineup here tonight. They weren't sure if he'd be able to go. They have been hurting. No Uribe at third, no Crawford in the outfield. Just got A.J. Ellis back. High to center. Peralta in front of the track. 2 down.
Dodgers right fielder number 66.
Here's Puig. Yasiel Puig, third in the league in hitting, tied for third in on-base percentage and third in slugging. The OPS is almost 1,000. He has been better than he was last year.
No question about it. He's improved a lot of areas of his game. Obviously a physically gifted young man that can do a lot of things well, but has kind of rounded off some of the rough edges from last season. I mean, he'll still flail at the occasional breaking pitch. He'll still throw to the wrong base or throw to the top of the backstop from time to time. He still may run when there's 3 outs in the inning, but the total package is much improved this year.
You like watching him play? I know it's tough. He's wearing Dodger blue and all that stuff.
Yeah, but I can respect ability and talent. And like I said, with the improvements he's made, I think he was clowning too much last year. I don't think he was really taking his profession seriously. He was more an entertainer than a ball player. I think this year he's turned the page to become a really good ball player. He's given that man a few sleepless nights, though.
Lately, he's been the one consistent bat in this lineup. 1-1. Be nice if Chase Anderson, after falling behind on Gordon 3-0, can work a 1-2-3 first. Puig walking this one off.
Looked like it skipped down that left leg, maybe hit him on top of the ankle on its way into foul territory. He can be a little overly dramatic with injuries, that's for sure.
The slash line numbers, batting average, on base slugging, all higher than last season. 1-2 misses there. Puig made his major league debut just over a year ago. It was June 3rd last season when he first came up. Two balls and two strikes. Got him. Good start for Chase Anderson in his Dodger Stadium debut. No score through one. To start the second inning, no score, D-backs and Dodgers. Fans, in tonight's game, we are participating in the Home Run Challenge. Tonight, every home run in the ball game raises $6,500 for prostate cancer research. You can make a pledge by going online. Visit homerunchallenge.org. Cody Ross leads off the second. A pair of singles for the D-backs against Kershaw in the first. Chase Anderson, a 1-2-3 first for him, including a strikeout of Yasiel Puig. And here's Cody at 190 and a homer. And with his track record against left-hand pitchers, a good night to get him in there.
Well, and his track record against Clayton Kershaw, 8 for 23 lifetime with 3 doubles, 4 walks to go along with his 8 base hits. That's a .348 batting average.
One and one. Track record. Boy, Kershaw, Bob, has spiked a few in the dirt so far tonight. Doesn't appear to be super sharp.
You wonder if that's by design. You know, he got banged around pretty good at Chase Field earlier this season. Maybe he's hoping the Diamondbacks will be overly aggressive and swing at some of those pitches. We saw Chris Owings swing at a bad pitch in the first at bat of the game. or he could just be a little bit off his game tonight. To wait and see. One thing you know, like Kershaw, like most of the good pitchers in baseball, you got to get them early. That one almost took his helmet off right there. Caught him on the bill of the helmet, kind of flipped it back on the back of his head. That was close.
Two balls and two strikes. Called strike three, says James Hoy. One down in the second strikeout for Kershaw. Cody walks away shaking his head.
I think rightfully so. Just based on what I saw there, we'll get a look on our Fox tracks. Another pitch off the plate inside. Boy, that strike zone has been very fluid lately. And not just one umpire. Everybody seems to be calling a lot of pitches off the plate strikes.
Tuffy goes a wish, his 10th start behind the plate this year. Tuffy jumps on the first pitch and lines it into left in front of Matt Kemp for a one-out single. Third D-backs hit tonight.
Coming to the plate, center fielder number 6, David Peralta.
It's that first fastball on the inside part of the plate. Kemp looked like he was caught by surprise out there. Didn't break initially, and by the time he realized it, couldn't make up the ground and make the catch.
Kemp has been a defensive disaster this year, and he has been moved over from center field to left field with the injury to Carl Crawford, and it hasn't gone well. Here's David Peralta. David, 372 and a homer. A 3-hit night in the series finale at Houston, his first career 3-hit game. But a tall order for Peralta tonight against the lefty Kershaw. Out of play, 0-2. David Peralta getting his second big league start in center field. Ender Inciarte today placed on the 7-day concussion DL. He took that knee to the head from the Astros' Jonathan Villar in a second base collision last night, and did suffer a concussion. Tony Campana recalled from AAA Reno, so Peralta gets the start in center tonight against the lefty. This was Ender Inciarte last night at Minute Maid Park.
The left knee of Jonathan Villar came right down on the side of Ender Inciarte's head. Really rattled him out there for a while. Stayed in the ball game, stole third base, and then later came out of the game.
1-2. And so the Diamondbacks taking advantage of that recently designed 7-day DL for concussion. So Ender Inciarte is on that list, and Tony Campana has rejoined the Diamondbacks.
I think that was a great move on the part of Major League Baseball. We don't know that Ender Inciarte has a bad concussion, a good concussion, anywhere in between, but it gives you a week to really check him out, run the appropriate tests, give him some time off as Peralta takes a look at a called strike three on a slider on the outside corner.
Third strikeout for Kershaw, all of them looking.
Pitcher number 57, Chase Anderson.
Brings up Chase Anderson. Tuffy goes a wish on first, 2 down.
I mean, in the past, if a guy got kicked in the head like Ender Inciarte did, you really only had two options. Either he stays on the active roster and maybe you sit him for a couple of days, or you whack him on the 15-day DL. And if you put him on the 15-day DL and he comes back the next day and is fine, well, then you've lost a player for 2 weeks. But if you keep him on the active roster and he comes in the next day and he's a little woozy, well, then you've got problems.
Gives you an observation period. Remember, the Diamondbacks took advantage of that last year with Didi Gregorius.
Well, baseball's tried to get out in front of the curve a little bit with those concussion injuries. I think for a long time kind of poo-pooed him off. The guy's just got a bad headache. He'll get over it. But as we've seen, they can have long-lasting effects and at times end careers.
And there is Tony Campana rejoining the D-backs from the Reno Aces. 0-2 to Chase Anderson. Another called strike 3. 4 strikeouts for Kershaw. No score at Dodger Stadium.
Times he's aggressive, there's times he's patient. Seems like he always knows how the pitchers are going to pitch him, and so that's probably the biggest thing I admire about the way he hits. He never has a bad at bat. He just goes about it in a very professional manner and knows what he's doing. Can hit the ball the other way, can turn on the ball, hit for power, get a runner over, sac fly if he needs it. Just really can do it all up there.
Paul Goldschmidt about his opposite number in this series. Dodgers first baseman Adrian Gonzalez. Don't forget, fans, Major League Baseball All-Star Game July 15th on Fox from Target Field in Minneapolis. Vote now. It's decision. 2014 time to get D-Back Nation to rock the votes.
Vote early, vote often.
Gonzalez leads off the second against Chase Anderson, who worked a 1-2-3 first. And this is a guy whose bat has vanished. One and one. Adrian Gonzalez, 246, 12 homers. But he has had a miserable month of June. Only 4 base hits all month. And he is still trying to dig his way out. He opened up June by going 1 for 26. And he has already struck out more in 10 games this month than he did in all of May. Right by Davey Lopes at first. Gonzalez at 246 on the year. The last time his average was over 300 was May 3rd. And in 35 games since May 3rd, he's hit under 200 and has more strikeouts than hits. But he is a tough out nonetheless.
He has such tremendous plate coverage, and yet he's so quick inside. Chase Anderson and Tuffy tried to come inside with a fastball on the pitch before, and he pulled it foul down the first base line. Then they try to go away, and he gets a piece of that and fouls it to the third base side. Looks like he's standing a long way off the plate.
And the shift is on for the D-backs in the infield. 3 fielders on the right-hand side. And that's been another part of Gonzalez's problem. A lot of ground balls into these overshifts.
Well, the way the Diamondbacks are positioned in this exaggerated pull shift, I think Aaron Hill is a little too close to Paul Goldschmidt as far as being near the foul line. We know Goldie has good range to his right. I think Aaron Hill could play a couple of steps more toward the middle of the field, give himself a little bit more range to cover the ground out there. But what do I know? Dave McKay and the coaching staff down there in that first base dugout have every ball that Adrian Gonzalez has put into play in his career. They know exactly where to put those defenders.
3-2. Ball 4. Leadoff walk.
Sorry, partner. We talked about Gonzalez and how he's struggled lately. That's been the case for a couple of these Dodgers. Largest decline in batting average versus their career average against this season. Adrian Gonzalez, Hanley Ramirez, and Matt Kemp, all 3 on that list, along with Matt Holliday of the Cardinals. Considerable drop off.
Matt Kemp this year has just kind of been adrift, looking for a safe shore. I mean, it's just defensively, offensively, everything has gone wrong for him. And here he is with Gonzalez on first. There's a ball, 1-0. Kemp at 254 and 5 homers. Only 19 RBIs in 58 games. And he has more strikeouts this season than hits. So what would you attribute the issues here? Because it seems to be, with the exception of Puig, a team-wide issue.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Don Mattingly even spoke to it last week about a lack of chemistry on this ball club, which is kind of pointing the finger at yourself as a manager. But, you know, you've got so many veteran superstar caliber players. It's not always easy to get all those egos in the same clubhouse pulling on the same end of the rope. I think maybe Kemp feels like he's been slighted or disrespected a little bit, and certainly is reflected in his play.
Well, there was a point earlier this year where Mattingly anointed Kemp as the center fielder and Puig as the right fielder. That was the way it was going to go, and no more questions about that. And it only took Kemp about a week and a half to play his way right out of center field.
I mean, this is a guy that's just a couple years removed of talking about a 50-50 season at the major league level. 50 homers, 50 stolen bases.
He got a lot of that one. And there it goes. Matt Kemp, his first home run since May 10th, and it's 2-0 LA.
Got every bit of that changeup. 82 miles per hour, just kind of floated back to the middle part of the plate for Matt Kemp. Put a nice quick swing on it and got just enough to sneak it out of here.
$2-0 Dodgers, the 6th of the year for Kemp. Here's Andre Ethier, the center fielder. The 6th home run given up this year by Chase Anderson. Ethier at 258, 3 home runs. He comes into tonight with a 5-game hit streak. One and one. What's it like when you're a young rookie, whether you're a pitcher or catcher, whatever it is, and you come in and play a game in this ballpark for the first time?
Oh, it can be a little intimidating. You'd like to if you can rearrange your rotation to get the youngster pitching the second or third day rather than the first day, to give him a little time to acclimate himself. I mean, 4 decks here at Dodger Stadium. When you stand out there on the mound, there's nothing in baseball that quite compares to Dodger Stadium. Just the massive bleachers back there behind home plate. Fortunately, they're not usually full. But yeah, that sight right there can be a little intimidating from the mound.
Kemp hits a home run and he plunks Ethier.
Yeah, he wanted a fastball up, did Tuffy, and that time Chase Anderson just sailed it inside, caught Ethier on that right hip.
So Chase still looking for his first out here in the second inning, and here's A.J. Ellis, the catcher. Just off the DL, where he has already been twice this year, hasn't played since May 24th, and he steps in at 170. Ellis wound up on the 15-day DL celebrating Josh Beckett's no-hitter. And this came after he had to have knee surgery right at the start of the season. Ellis wasn't even catching the game. He ran out onto the field to join the celebration and stepped on the catcher's mask of Drew Butera, who had caught Beckett's no-no in Philadelphia. What are the odds of that? The joyous celebration, Beckett throws a no-no, Butera throws the mask to the ground, and the one guy that finds it and rolls his ankle on it is the starting catcher.
Well, and Drew Butera got a lot of playing time because of that. I think the conspiracy theorists might have a field day with that one.
1-1. Yeah, Ellis, talking about the celebration on the field, said he just wanted to be part of it, but he quickly lost his thrill for what happened when he rolled his ankle on the mask. He began testing the ankle this week, making throws to second base, and was given the all clear, and he's back tonight. Ellis played just 7 games this year before he had to sit out with a knee injury, which had nagged him throughout spring training. Wound up missing 34 games. Surgery on the left knee to repair a torn meniscus. He was only back about 10 days before he hurt his ankle. And Chase Anderson having a tough second inning. He's behind 3-1.
I'm not a big mechanical guy when talking about pitching, but it looks to me like Chase is just standing up a little too upright when on his release point. Normally he really reaches out to his target and finishes his pitches, kind of landing on that front leg and standing almost straight up as he delivers the pitch.
Ethier bluffs at first. That's ball 4. Second walk in the inning. So here in the second, Chase Anderson has walked 2. He's hit a batter and he's given up a home run.
Now you got to throw it over the plate to A.J. Ellis. He refuses to swing at bad pitches. He'll take his walks. He'll work deep counts. He'll see a lot of pitches every at bat. And this time takes the base on balls to put Dodgers at first and second.
Mike Harkey, a long conversation out there. And, funny, James Hoy, the umpire's just kind of standing there, giving him all the time he wants. The Diamondback infield is there as well, and now Hoy finally will come out and break this up. It's a long discussion.
Yeah, Martin Prado is signaling to that first base dugout. I'm not sure what Martin wants. He kind of held up his glove and looked over to the dugout. I'm not sure what that was all about.
Third baseman number 18, Sean Figgins.
Well, Anderson has already given up a 2-run homer to Kemp in the inning. As Ethier at second, Ellis at first, still no outs, and here's Sean Figgins, the third baseman tonight. Ethier at second, Ellis at first. Juan Uribe on the DL with a right hamstring strain. He hasn't played since May 20th. And so Figgins, the veteran at the age of 36, gets the start tonight.
No, we don't mind missing Juan Uribe. He's done some serious damage against the Diamondbacks.
He sure has. This is another situation, Bob, where Martin Prado at third kind of just plays at kitty corner there.
Yeah, try to give yourself an angle where you can see the runner at second base out of your peripheral vision. You can also see the hitter at the plate playing up in front of the baseline. In the event of a bunt, I don't think they would sacrifice with the pitcher on deck.
Oh, 1 misses. It's even a ball and a strike. Sean Figgins, a switch hitter, better from the left side. About 80 points better, in fact. He has made just 11 starts for the Dodgers this year. Here's the 1-1. Chase Anderson a little erratic here. 38 pitches, 19 strikes, 19 balls. This is up and it's 3-1. This is a 220 hitter up there with no homers. And a pitcher on deck. There's a strike, 3-2.
Figgins is a guy that rarely strikes out. See if Don Mattingly rolls the dice here and gets the runners in motion with Figgins at the plate.
40 pitches and still looking for his first out in the second. Runners hold. Figgins hits a foul ball just on the dugout side of the third base bag.
I say roll the dice and start the runners because it is a gamble. With nobody out in the inning, a line drive could conceivably turn into a triple play if the runners are in motion.
Well, you've got good speed at second and Ethier. No speed at all in Ellis at first, the catcher. Runners hold. Popped him up, drifting near the D-backs dugout. Tuffy gives it a look over there, and it's just out of play.
A lot of room in foul territory right in front of both dugouts and behind home plate, even though they've added seemingly rows and rows of luxury seats every year to take away some of the foul territory. It's still pretty spacious. From the first base bag around home plate to the third base bag.
Very luxurious down there. Another 3-2. Runners hold again. Figgins fouls it off again. This guy's a pain in the neck and can be. It's a 30-pitch second, and he still has yet to record an out. In the air to right, Gerardo Parra backing up in front of the warning track, and he runs it down. Runners back to the bags. One down here in the second. Pretty good at bat there by Sean Figgins.
Yeah, he saw a lot of pitches, fouled off some borderline pitches, and finally got a center cut fastball, put a good swing on it. Fortunately, Gerardo Parra with just enough room to run it down out there in deep right field.
Well, Chase Anderson has had to work overtime in this inning, but he could somehow get Clayton Kershaw to roll into a double play and get out of this mess with only 2 runs in on the Kemp homer. Clayton Kershaw 4 for 17 on the year, and he is already squaring the bunt. Goldie in at first on the grass.
Yeah, he could possibly pull it back and swing. Kershaw's a fair hitter as a pitcher. He's only had 1 sacrifice bunt this season, but his batting average is .235, 4 for 17 on the season.
Hopefully he can bunt his way into 2 outs here rather than just 1. Martin Prado about 2 steps in on the grass. Goldie halfway in from first. Out in front, Goldschmidt has 1 play. Runners advance.
Well, as D. Gordon makes his way to the plate here with 2 outs and runners at second and third, let's take a look at our Valley Honda dealers' keys to the game. Hey, sleep's overrated. Team got to the hotel about 3 o'clock in the morning from Houston after the extra inning game last night. Big deal. And the other key is to keep this guy off base. D. Gordon is a disruptor. He gets on base, it changes everything. You've got to pay a lot of attention to him at first. It changes the pitches that Tuffy will call, changes the way the defense aligns himself, so keep him off the bases.
He flied out to center his first time. And again, both corner infielders in on the grass for the D-backs. Gordon, 36 stolen bases, leads the majors. He's been caught just 5 times. There's a strike, 1-1. Second inning started with a walk to Adrian Gonzalez, then a long home run to left center field by Matt Kemp, his 6th of the year. And Anderson hit Ethier, walked Ellis, and he's looking for 1 more out after getting Figgins and Kershaw. Two and one. And a rough year for that guy, but so far so good tonight. Two and two. Pete Gordon, after that sizzling start in April, he had .344. Mostly settling into what he has been in the big leagues, which is a guy that hits .240, .260. But right there, he's done well with the runners in scoring position. He's bulked up a little bit. I know it's hard to tell on that frame, but he's driving the ball a little more this year. He's got 6 triples. 2-2. It's by Lorenzo Bundy at third. D. Gordon just 26 career extra base hits going into this year. But he's got 18 extra base hits already this season. 6 triples, tops in baseball. In the league. 1 more than he had his entire career going into the year. Two. Just does stay alive, I think.
Of course, Dee Gordon is the son of former Major League pitcher Tom Flash Gordon, and also the brother of the #1 pick of the Minnesota Twins, Nick Gordon. So Dee's glad he doesn't have to pick up all the checks anymore. Younger brother's going to have to start paying for dinners.
As soon as he signs, he'll be able to. Waves at that one, and Anderson finally escapes the second inning. He strands 2, but the Dodgers get 2. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Chris Owings leads it off. Reaction from the D-backs clubhouse here in Los Angeles. And the Coyotes looking for some value on the free agent market. All that and more right now. All the online local sports coverage you won't find anywhere else is at FoxSportsArizona.com. There is Didi, not in the lineup tonight against the left-hander. Assistant trainer Ryan DePanfilo. Owings, Parra, Goldie, top of the order here in the third against Clayton Kershaw, who so far has 4 strikeouts, all of them looking. He has been dropping some breaking balls in there when he gets into 2 strikeouts.
He throws both a curveball and a slider. The curveball has a lot more downward movement. The slider a little bit harder.
Chris Owings yanks that one down the left field line. That's a fair ball, and it's one hop the seats for a double. Chris Owings, his 13th double. And that's the 4th hit for the Diamondbacks. And once again, Bob, they jump on the first pitch. 3 of their 4 hits tonight on the first pitch.
Well, that's Kershaw's MO. Try to jump ahead in the count, whether it's a fastball or one of his breaking pitches. Just be ready to hit a strike.
Good way to answer after the Kemp homer. Put Kershaw in immediate trouble. Gerardo Parra singled his first time. Strike 1. Why is it, do you think, that the Diamondbacks have had this guy's number in a sense? 1 in 5 in his last 8 starts versus Arizona.
I mean, occasionally an offense will really get up for a game against an ace, and certainly Clayton Kershaw is an ace. Other than that, I can't think of a logical reason.
He might be the aciest.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they just picked the ball up well out of his hand. I'm not sure. Maybe from all the video work they've done, they've spotted something in his delivery that gives him a little bit of an edge. But for whatever reason, the Diamondbacks have done well against Kershaw.
1 in 5 in his last 8 starts. The one was back on March 22nd at the Sydney Cricket Ground.
He's faced 11 hitters so far in the ball game. He's thrown first pitch strike to 11 hitters.
And he's ahead 0-2 on Gerardo Parra.
And I still don't understand why that is not a balk. And Bob Davidson, for crying out loud, is umpiring at second base. He's looking right at it. When Kershaw goes into the stretch position, he puts his hands way up above his head. And for me, that's a complete stop. And then he continues. That should be a balk. I know it's picky. It doesn't give him an edge. It doesn't help him pick off base runners or deceive the hitter or the runner. But according to the letter of the rule, that should be a balk.
0-2. Buckled him there, but missed inside. You would think with the umpire at second base right behind him, whose nickname is Balkin' Bob Davidson, that we might advance a runner or two here.
Well, I think Bob is tired of being in the spotlight. Every time he gets in the spotlight, he ends up in the commissioner's office or paying a fine or serving a suspension.
Slow roller to third. Figgins charges. Chris Owings stays put. They throw out Parra one away. Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie singled his first time up, so he has now hit safely in 7 straight and 9 of his last 10. A pair of doubles last night in Houston.
Well, for Sean Figgins, this is only his 8th start this season at third base. He looks real smooth down there. Didn't know if he'd have enough time to get Gerardo Parra on that slow roller, but showed a strong arm and got it over there in time.
Justin Turner has been getting most of the work at third base, with Juan Uribe out with that strained right hammy. A spot start here tonight for Figgins. Turner's one of those guys that has backward platoon splits, so that might have something to do with it. You would think that you could take advantage of that, but it's Figgins tonight. Turner's been doing really well. 19 games since Uribe went down. He's hitting just under .350 with 3 homers. Two 2-0.
Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
John Tumpane down there at third, says foul, 3-1.
We've noticed the Diamondbacks being a little more aggressive in those 3-0 counts. In the past, Kirk Gibson has given his guys the green light to swing away 3-0, but very few guys took advantage. We've seen a lot more of those 3-0 swings recently.
Stranded 2 in the first, a chance to get a run across right here. Called strike 2, says James Hoare.
3-1 slider that time from Kershaw. Just doesn't want to give in to Goldie. Just does nip that inside corner of the plate.
And hold up. 5 strikeouts for Kershaw. 2 down.
Second baseman, number 2.
Aaron Hill, one of the strikeout victims.
Tell you, the strike 3 to Paul Goldschmidt was earned on the 3-1 pitch when he threw that slider for a called strike. That's normally a fastball count, 3-1. Now Goldie doesn't see a lot of fastballs 3-1, but when you see a slider from Clayton Kershaw runs the count to full, now in the back of your mind you're thinking, is he going to throw another slider? Is he going to come at me with a fastball? And that indecision sometimes will cause you to check your swing.
And Aaron Hill in an 0-1 hole here. Here's the pitch to Goldie.
My way of thinking, and I was a 248 lifetime hitter, always was, if he's willing to throw that pitch 3-1, he's certainly willing to throw it 3-2. If he's got enough confidence that he can throw it in the strike zone when he's behind in the count 3-1, he certainly has enough confidence to throw it around the strike zone on the 3-2 pitch. And like I said, I was a career 248, so take it for what it's worth.
0-1. Well, Kershaw has been racking up the strikeouts lately, led the league last year. And it's almost as if he's been looking to make up for lost time this year after sitting out 45 games with that strained shoulder muscle. He has struck out 9 batters, exactly 9, in each of his last 4 starts. And he has 9 strikeouts in 6 of his 8 starts this year. So 9 is the number. That's rolled foul. So that's kind of a weird deal there.
Yeah, it is.
He's been steady, if nothing else. He's got 5 strikeouts today, 4 looking, which ties his career high for strikeouts looking in a ball game. 1-2 to Hill is yanked. That's a fair ball down the left field line. It'll score Chris Owings with the Diamondbacks' first run. And Aaron Hill is in at second with an RBI double. His 15th. It's 2-1. Big hit there by Aaron Hill to get that run home from second with 2 outs.
Well, you sure hate to strand a leadoff double. And Aaron Hill with 2 outs gets a slider working its way down and in. A.J. Ellison dropped down to the shin guards to block that ball, and Aaron keeps it just inside the stripe past a diving Sean Figgins for an RBI double.
And now the tying run is in scoring position with 2 down. Martin Prado, who popped up his first time. Strike 1. Kershaw has thrown strike 1 to nearly every hitter tonight. He's at 51 pitches, 35 for strikes. Buckled him there, and it's 0-2.
Boy, that's remarkable. I mentioned it earlier. Rarely do you see a left-handed pitcher buckle a right-handed hitter or vice versa with a breaking ball. You can see why a left-handed hitter would knee buckle on that pitch, but he can knee buckle the righties as well.
That one kicks away from Ellis, and Aaron Hill advances 90 feet. So now the tying run's at third. And we've seen Kershaw, despite the 5 strikeouts, do that a number of times so far tonight.
Not surprising that he does it on that big curveball from time to time, but we've seen him spike his fastball out there 5 feet in front of home plate.
One-two is swung on and missed. And 6 strikeouts for Kershaw. Aaron Hill, an RBI double. It's a 2-1 ball game. D-backs on the board.
I was there on Mother's Day, and my dad was watching above, so it would have been cool. But, you know, my dad will be watching on Father's Day, and he'll be right there with me, so I'm excited.
Todd Walsh back here at Dodger Stadium. Chase Anderson on, almost pitching on Mother's Day and Father's Day. Guys, I know that obviously he draws the initials. You've told that story. He was channeling his late father, Robert, in that tough inning. Great story by Steve Gilbert. Steve on MLB.com about his relationship with his dad, talking about the work ethic that he instilled in him a very long time ago, but also even in Colorado. Remember Charlie Blackmon led that game off with a walk? Well, Chase Anderson was talking after the game and to Steve about the fact he was thinking about his dad who would come to his Little League games and stand behind the screen and point to his head and say, focus. So it's in him very deep. It's a part of his DNA, if you will.
Thank you, Todd. He's out there trailing 2-1. Now, he's given up only one hit so far, but that was the 2-run homer by Matt Kemp in the second. D-backs about hit the Dodgers 5-1, but they trail it 2-1 as Hanley Ramirez leads off the third. Hanley flying out his first time. Yeah, Chase Anderson was terrific in that. Started Coors Field when he beat the Rockies. Only 4 hits allowed in 6 innings. His last start was Sunday against the Braves at Chase Field, and again pitched very well. 2 runs on 5 hits in 7, and a career high 8 strikeouts. But he's had issues tonight, Bob, throwing strikes. It's that simple.
Yeah, his command just isn't as fine as we've seen it in past starts. I've commented repeatedly that's been one of the most impressive things for me about Chase Anderson is his fastball command, working the corners, keeping the ball out of the middle of the plate. He's keeping it out of the middle of the plate, but unfortunately he's not keeping it on the corners.
He has walked 2 and hit a batter. And he's behind on Ramirez, 3-1. Well, Chase Anderson, when he beat Kershaw and these Dodgers last month back at home, didn't pitch great. 5 runs, 7 hits, 5 1/3. But that was the 18-7 game. And that has been the only start he's made all year that Chase has allowed more than 2 earned runs. Those are the numbers. Not great, but he got the W.
He pitched as well as he needed to that night.
"3-2 is off the glove of Chris Owings and into left field. Ramirez has a single to lead off the LA third.
Right fielder number 66, Yasiel Puig.
Here comes Yasiel Puig.
Just past the diving Chris Owings, able just to get the very tip of the webbing on that ball and deflect it a little bit.
Ramirez 8 for 10 in stolen base attempts this year, so good speed aboard at first. Here is Puig, who struck out his first time. See the 40 RBIs there for Puig. It's only 2 shy of his total from all of last season when he played in just over 100 games. That's impressive, but it's foul.
Strike one. I mean, you have to have that mindset as a pitcher. You know, you make a mistake inside off the plate with an off-speed pitch, it's going to get hit hard. But it's way foul. Strike one. Take another one of those and a fastball on the outside corner at the knees, and see you later.
Well, the way James Hoy's been ringing up Diamondbacks tonight, due for a couple of those. Well, Puig, 10 games against the D-backs this year. He's only hit about 260, but he's got 10 RBIs in 10 games, including 3 home runs. One is hit along the right field line. This has a chance. It's a foul ball. Well, he's got both corners covered.
And he's in an 0-2 hole. Take that every time. I don't know what he's hoping for there. If it's a fair ball, they'll throw him out at first.
That's true. Bottom line, it's 0-2.
There you go.
And he strikes him out for the second time tonight. Well, you called that one.
Let's take a look at tonight's cold hard facts, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. We talked about the Dodgers stolen bases, a 22 stolen base lead over the Reds in second place in the majors. Hanley Ramirez on over there at first, 8 out of 10 this season, and we've talked about it repeatedly. D. Gordon is a guy you have to keep an eye on. 36 steals on the season, been caught only 5 times.
Keep him in the dugout. That'll work. Adrian Gonzalez walked and scored on the Kemp homer back in the second. And with Ramirez on at first, there is no defensive overshift, which has been the scourge of Gonzalez's season. Puig having a moment with a bat rack here. It looks like somebody put him in timeout.
Yeah, go stand in the corner until your next AB.
1-0.
You know, I think what he was doing there, partner, is checking the bottom of the bat rack to make sure there were no snakes in there. Dodgers just came from Cincinnati on this road trip, and his teammates took him to the Cincinnati Zoo. He has a horrible fear of snakes. And, of course, if your teammates find that out, they're going to put you in a situation like this.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. I'm not an expert on snakes, but I'm pretty sure that's not a Diamondback rattler. That would have been too good.
Apropos, certainly. 2-0.
Yeah, you don't ever want to let your teammates know you have a fear of anything, because they will abuse you.
I sense a story.
Well, ask Gonzo. You know, Bob Melvin had a fear of clowns, you know.
Clowns?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's a fairly common thing, but Gonzo found out about it, and in a spring training game down in Tucson, he called around for hours trying to find clowns to come out to Tucson Electric Park and dance on top of the dugouts just to disturb Bob Melvin when he was managing the Mariners.
Was he able to book a few clowns?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know,
What did Baumel do?
More money than sense. You can always find clowns. Well, Mel wasn't real happy about it, but ultimately he took it in the right spirit.
Two and one. There goes Hanley. Swung on right to Owings, who broke to cover the bag at second. And the Dodgers run right into 2 outs there, and Anderson is out of the third. Chris Owings, it's all about positioning. Well, this worked out nicely with Ramirez running on the pitch. It's 2-1 through 3.
On Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you in part by Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. The LA traffic. Nice, easy, convenient, stress-free drive to the ballpark. 2-1 here in the fourth. Cody Ross leads it off for the D-backs against Clayton Kershaw. Arizona has out-hit LA 5-2. But they trail it 2-1. One of the hits for the Dodgers, a 2-run homer by Matt Kemp. Got to get a beach ball off the field, and now we're set to go. There is Kemp playing left field tonight. It's his new spot lately with Carl Crawford on the DL. Ball 1 to Cody, who struck out looking his first time up. One of 6 strikeouts so far for Kershaw. 55 pitches, 37 for strikes. Roll to first, backhand stop by Gonzalez. 1 away. Well, it's that time again, fans. Tweet us your D-backs fan photo using the hashtag AZFanPhoto for your chance to have it shown in our game broadcast, brought to you by AT&T. How's that working tonight with the committee?
Well, Richard is, he's still kind of in charge. We allow him to pass the final judgment as he's in his probationary period.
Wow, he's been given creative control, as it were.
Well, just to see how he handles the responsibility.
Big shoes. Tuffy goes a wish. Tuffy singled his first time up, jumped on the first pitch from Kershaw, but looks at a strike. It's 0-1. Miguel Montero hitting under 160 versus left-hand pitching this year. And most of Miggy's power has come against right-handers, including all 9 of his homers. So the matchup with Kershaw, late arrival last night from Houston, seems like a good night to give Tuffy the start.
Thought we might see Jordan Pacheco make his Diamondbacks debut tonight. A right-handed bat, a guy that goes behind the plate.
the newest D-backs acquisition. Got to meet Jordan last night once we landed here in LA. Former Rockies. He can play everywhere. Nice pickup.
Well, especially now with Tony Campana on the roster, there may be a situation even tonight late in the ball game where you need a pinch runner and then a defender to go in and play that position that you pinch ran for. And kind of a two-headed monster with Jordan Pacheco and Tony Campana.
Pacheco can play all 5 infield positions. And well, 3-2 to Tuffy. High in the air, left center field. Kemp and Ethier over there. It'll be Ethier in front of the track. And that's the second out in the 4th. Well, Bob, Clayton Kershaw has had that breaking ball mojo working tonight.
Yeah, he really has. I mean, the big over-the-top curveball, that's the one that's been buckling the right-handed hitters, and that's the slider, the harder, sharper breaking, late breaking pitch. Disguises it well, looks like a fastball, then has a lot of late movement as it gets into that hitting zone.
David Peralta, one of those strikeout victims, back in the 2nd. David also rung up by James Hoy, the plate umpire, on a called strike 3. And once again, Kershaw, another key for him. He's been ahead 0-1, it seems, the entire night. He's jumping out ahead in counts early and staying there. 42 of his 64 pitches for strikes. 1-1 is fouled back. It's 1-2. David Peralta has played 11 games in the major leagues and hit safely in 9 of them. 6 of those have been multi-hit games, including his 3-hit game last night in Houston. 2-2. Facing Clayton Kershaw in Dodger Stadium, a long way from life as a Wichita wingnut. Playing independent ball. Good at bat here. He's back full, 3-2. David, a former pitcher in the Cardinals system. 2 shoulder operations changed that. It was a Rio Grande Valley White Wing, a Wichita wingnut. A long journey here to the big leagues, and he's got himself a 2-out walk.
Pitcher number 57, Chase Anderson.
That's the first base on balls issued by Kershaw, and the Diamondbacks will at least clear the pitcher spot here in the 4th. Chase Anderson struck out his first time. Ball 1.
Once he got to the 2-strike count in his first at bat in this game, Chase Anderson was pretty much at the mercy of Clayton Kershaw. He dropped a nasty curveball on him for a called strike 3.
He's in a 1-2 hole here. Peralta at first, 2 down. What would happen if you got picked off first with 2 outs and the pitcher up?
Ooh, that's not good.
Don't wander too far away.
I mean, occasionally you can come up with an excuse or a reason why it happened, but that's one of those inexcusable pickoffs with the pitcher at the plate. Come on, where are you going to go?
Couple of throws over from Kershaw. Here's the 1-2. It's even.
Well, with 2 outs and the pitcher at the plate, first base coach comes over and tells you if he hits it, you run. Otherwise, stay here. Don't get picked by the pitcher or the catcher. I mean, you said it. You clear the pitcher spot here. Ideally, Chase Anderson gets a base hit and continues the inning, but at worst, he makes the final out, and you got the top of the order leading it off against Kershaw next time out there.
Little swing and bunt. That's a fair ball. Ellis picks it up and throws him out. We'll head to the home half of the 4th in L.A. D-backs trail the Dodgers 2-1. Night and beach night, but this is the main event coming up. Well, just over a month away, Sunday, July 20th. D-backs and Cubs. Star Wars Day at Chase Field, and it's Josh Colmenter bobblehead night, but not for everybody. You got to just make sure you hear this, fans. Purchase a special Star Wars ticket package, and you'll get the custom Josh Colmenter Jedi bobblehead. Only fans that purchase the special Star Wars ticket package get the bobblehead at the ball game. For more information, visit dbacks.com events. So buy your special Star Wars ticket package, and you will guarantee yourself a Josh Colmenter Jedi Star Wars bobblehead. He actually has that robe. It's not like a prop. He owns it. He is wise and all-knowing.
That is scary.
But you got to get your tickets through the special package to get the bobblehead.
And as always, go to dbacks.com. And any questions you might have about the Diamondbacks or tickets or events coming up at Chase Field, log on, check it out. Find all your answers right there.
Matt Kemp leads off the 4th. Sure enough, his first time up, mentioned he hadn't homered since May 10th, and he took Anderson deep for a 2-run homer.
Yeah, we were talking earlier when Matt Kemp declared that he was ready for a 50-50 season after the 2011 year. That one taken on the outside corner. He hit .324 with 39 homers and 40 stolen bases in 2011. Talked about going 50-50. Well, since the beginning of the 2012 season, we're talking 2+ years, he's hit a total of 35 homers and stolen 23 bases.
He has just been wrecked by injuries, too. I mean, just last season, 3 separate trips to the DL, hamstring, shoulder, ankle injuries. Had left shoulder surgery in October, then left ankle surgery. Didn't play a single Cactus League game this spring. And honestly, they still don't feel like he's 100%, not moving very well out there, which is one reason why they took him out of center field. But so far tonight, 2 for 2. Next time he comes up, we'll tell you how great he's doing.
For the Dodgers center fielder, Andre Ethier.
What do you see when you see Matt Kemp going?
He just doesn't look like the same ball player. I mean, that 2011 season, he was big and strong and fast and covered the plate. And I mean, you couldn't get him out. He was just, he reminded you a little bit of Puig. You know, he just did everything. Blazing on the bases, hit for power, hit for average, scored 115 runs that year. He just doesn't look like the same player. He's had a lot going on off the field with some of his.
It is Los Angeles.
Yeah, it is Los Angeles, and you know, he's dated his share of starlets, and
well, who hasn't?
Yeah, you know, it happens, I guess. I'm not sure if that's mentally taken some of his focus away from the game. And we talked earlier about the egos involved with all the superstars trying to squeeze 4 all-stars into 3 positions and still find playing time for Scott Van Slyke, who's a left-handed killer. I think it may just be weighing on his mind a little bit. He might be one of those guys, the proverbial change of scenery might do him some good.
Matt Kemp.
Yeah.
You want to trade Matt Kemp?
Well, I'm just saying, you know, if you feel you've got your outfield spots covered with other all-stars making big bucks, I'm sure there would be interest in him.
Ethier lines that into right for a base hit. 2 singles by the Dodgers to open up the 4th.
Dodger catcher A.J. Ellis.
Well, between Kemp and Ethier, they've had 4 at-bats against Anderson, and they've reached all 4 times.
Boy, A.J. Ellis going old school with his walk-up music.
That's right in your wheelhouse.
Oh, yeah. Ginger Baker, Jack Bruce, Eric Clapton, Cream.
A.J. Ellis walked his first time. Now, with a guy like Ellis who never swings at anything that's not a strike, how do you pitch to him with 2 guys on and no outs?
He might be a little more aggressive with the runner in scoring position. But that's usually a good approach, starting with some kind of a breaking pitch, preferably out of the middle of the plate. That time just a little too far out, missed the corner away.
Location and command has been an issue for Chase tonight. Ellis long looked down to Low Bundy at third. One of the most patient hitters in baseball. D-backs bullpen springs into action. The right-hander Randall Delgado. No glasses for Randall tonight. Matt Kemp, the runner at second. Andre Ethier at first. 2-0 to A.J. Ellis. There's a strike, 2-1.
Just a grooved fastball at 90 miles per hour, pretty much right down the middle of the plate that time on the 2-0 count, illustrating once again that Ellis is one of the most patient hitters in the game. Willing to take that 2-0 fastball right down the middle with runners on base, 1 in scoring position.
Do you think you can get away with that pitch because they know that he'll generally take it ahead 2-0?
Well, you'd like to think so, yeah. You know, once again, got a bazillion stats for everything, and I'm sure that Mike Harkey and Chase Anderson and Tuffy Goswitch went over this entire Dodgers lineup tonight and talked about which guys are going to be aggressive first pitch swingers, which guys are going to take until they get a strike, who's more aggressive with runners in scoring position, who's likely to try to bunt for a base hit. All those things enter into how you attack a hitter.
2-2. It's the call from James Hoy.
Looked like he was looking out over the plate, really dived in there, and that tailing fastball caught the inside corner. He reacted as if it was way inside.
Anderson now at 75 pitches, looking for his first out in the 4th. Over the mound, Aaron Hill turns 2. And Kemp is at third now with 2 outs.
Can't get much more tailor-made than that. It leads Aaron Hill right to the base. All he's got to do is take 2 steps forward onto the bag and throw onto Goldie to complete that double play.
And if Chase Anderson can wiggle off this hook after singles by Kemp and Ethier to lead off the inning and get Figgins here, it'll be job well done. Figgins flying out his first time up, had a very good at bat. Fouled off a whole bunch of pitches. Toronto on the grass at third, even with a runner. 1-0.
Obviously, you've got a base open at first. You got the pitcher in the on-deck circle. This is one of those situations. It really depends on how much trust you have in that pitcher's ability to pitch around a guy. If you think Chase Anderson is able to keep the ball out of the strike zone, maybe get Sean Figgins to chase something, then you let him go after it. But with Chase Anderson's command tonight, I think I'd just go ahead and walk Sean Figgins right here and take my chances with Clayton Kershaw, especially behind in the count 2-0.
Yeah, they're staying away. This looks like a pitch around. Nothing close. 3-0 now.
Yeah, and people used to ask me all the time when I was managing, why do you ever pitch to a number 8 hitter with a base open? Well, we talked about it before. If you can retire Sean Figgins, then you have the pitcher leading off the next inning, and certainly that's going to hurt your chances of being able to score a run in that inning.
Is that why they say hitting 8th in the National League is so difficult?
Yeah, there are certain situations where you're expected to expand your strike zone, go out of the zone to try to drive that runner home from third base.
Ball 4.
Of course, this is not Sean Figgins' first rodeo. He's been around for a little while. He's hitting that 8th spot before. He knows what's going on.
Call it an unintentional intentional walk. Anderson has now walked 3 and hit a batter. Here's Clayton Kershaw. A sacrifice bunt his first time up. Kemp is the runner at third, and Figgins aboard at first. Anderson now at 82 pitches, so he won't be around too much longer. His high pitch count for the season is exactly 100. That came in his previous start Sunday at Chase Field when he beat the Braves. A home run swing, 1-1. It's been a struggle to throw strikes. One is a called strike from James, so it's even 2-2. Might have gotten a break here. Good pitch. Got him. Chase Anderson, pair of leadoff singles to open the inning. He strands the runners and escapes the fourth. It's a 2-1 ball game.
Steve and Bob, a pretty moving tribute here just prior to the start of this game for the late Bob Welch, the Dodgers' first game back since his passing. And I will tell you that there are private services which will be held tomorrow back in the Valley of the Sun. Several members of the Dodger front office, as you can imagine, even Don Mattingly's coaching staff will fly back to Arizona, should make it back before the game. Tony La Russa was watching that ceremony from the Diamondback dugout. He's here tonight. He'll be making his way back for that service as well. Other members of the Diamondbacks front office. And it was, I don't know, just seeing Bob Welch in the moving video of him at Dodger Stadium brought it all right back home. Just how precious life is and what he meant to this organization and the game of baseball.
A man, Bob, that you knew well.
Yeah, I knew him going all the way back to college. He pitched at Eastern Michigan University when I went to Ohio U in the Mid-America Conference. Used to face him all the time, and even back then you could tell he was something special. And one of the things that I noticed then that I continued to notice throughout his career that made him so attractive as a pitching coach, he was so aware of what was going on around him. You know, sometimes a pitcher can get tunnel vision and just focus on that next pitch, the next pitch. If there were runners on base and he'd get the throw back from the catcher, he was always in a position to snap a throw to the base if the guy was too slow getting back to the bag. He always knew where his outfielders and infielders were positioned and pitched accordingly. If he was going to go away from the game plan, he would alert his infielders to move over a couple steps this way or that way. So plugged into the game at all times.
Do you not see that a lot these days?
Well, I don't know. You know, not being in the dugout as much as I used to be, obviously. But yeah, you know, pitchers are just have such tunnel vision in what they're doing out there on the mound. Sometimes they're completely unaware of what's going on around them and behind them when they're out there on the mound.
Well, this guy's focus has been pretty good tonight. D-backs have 5 hits against Clayton Kershaw, but only 1 run. As we start the 5th with Chris Owings, top of the order. Dodgers did a wonderful job in paying tribute to the late Bob Welch before the ball game. A piece ran on both the scoreboards here in the ballpark, narrated by the great Vin Scully, talking about Bob Welch's career and showing some highlights. And they played with the actual announcer track, Joe Garagiola Sr. on the call. His famous at-bat against Reggie Jackson in the World Series as Kershaw rings up Owings. Now 7 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit earlier in reference to the Diamondbacks offense against Kershaw. As you get another look at this curveball, strike 3. And now sometimes a team can get up when you know you're facing one of the best in the game. You bring your A game, and I think Welchie was that way too. And that at bat against Reggie in that World Series was a perfect example. I think he relished the opportunity to pitch to Mr. October in a big situation like that.
It was power against power.
Oh, yeah.
At bat that seemed like it took about a week and a half. Gerardo Parra 1 for 2, a single in the first. 7 strikeouts now for Kershaw, 6 of them looking a career high. It is Friday the 13th.
Yeah, speaking of that, I got some information from our formerly highly unreliable source.
Is he now reliable?
Well, he's getting closer.
Well, they said it would never happen.
Well, let me find it. Here we go. Okay, it's Friday the 13th.
That is correct.
It's a full moon.
Okay.
The next time that happens is August 13th of 2049. Friday the 13th with a full moon. Okay, so now stay with me here.
Yeah. Trying.
Last year on June 13th, the Dodgers had 29 wins. This year on June 13th, the Diamondbacks have 29 wins. It's been 13 years since the Diamondbacks won a World Series. I don't know. All these 13s and full moon and I don't know. Spooky.
You're freaking me out, man. 1 and 2 is rolled to second. Gordon's over there. The jump throw, and they get Parra. Well, they have been raving about D. Gordon's defense at second base, and we just saw why.
Didn't think he had a chance this time. Boy, what a play by D. Gordon. Gave his first baseman a long hop there. Easy ball to handle for Adrian Gonzalez. Comes up about waist high on one hop in time to get Parra at first.
They didn't even know who their second baseman would be when they started spring training, and he's turned out to be one of their best players. Goldie has singled and struck out, 1 for 2. Right to Gordon again. There he is again. D. Gordon takes 2 base hits away from the Diamondbacks. Bottom 5 all the way. It's a 1-run ball game in LA. Upcoming Diamondbacks game. Bring the whole family out to the ballpark. Get away from the heat next Saturday, June 21st. D-backs and Giants. First 20,000. Get this D-backs duffel bag courtesy of Gila River Casinos. Get your tickets at dbacks.com/tickets. And sure enough, D. Gordon leads off the bottom of the 5th. Putting on a defensive clinic in the top half of this inning with 2 remarkable plays at second base. Going in opposite directions, Bob. One toward second base, one toward first makes that half inning even more remarkable.
That's a scout's dream to see a guy go both directions in one inning.
Right to Goldie, playing in on the grass for Gordon, and he's retired by Anderson to lead off the 5th.
Because occasionally that advance report, you'll see a second baseman, maybe he goes well to his left but has trouble with balls to his right. Well, D. Gordon goes pretty good both directions.
He has been terrific for them this year. Hanley Ramirez singled his last time up, 1 for 2. They didn't know who was going to play second base. They didn't know what they were going to do with D. Gordon, and it all kind of worked out. After initially asking him to go to winter ball in the Dominican and learn how to play center field. I thought he might be a super utility guy, but he has been their second baseman all year and has done a good job. Here's Hanley. Trying to play with that nagging shoulder injury. Just had a cortisone shot this week. Missed a lot of the series they played in Cincinnati against the Reds. But Ramirez, who missed half the season last year, did tons of damage against the Diamondbacks. Not the case this year. Look at the difference here. 214 in 11 games this season, 1 homer. Last year, 9 games against the Diamondbacks, hit over 450 with 4 home runs. So they've done a good job keeping Ramirez in check this year. That's out of play. 2-1. He has not been the presence in the lineup that he was against the D-backs last season, and he needs to be a presence against everybody because his contract is up.
Astros warming up. And Chase Anderson nears 100 pitches. Gonzalez due up after Puig. Boy, that one got away from him, and he walks Ramirez. That looked like an overthrow. You hear that term all the time. He's overthrowing.
He just didn't want to leave it in the middle of the plate. Throwing a fastball there, just kind of pulled it off the plate away, trying to hit that outside corner. Wanted to make sure that if he missed it in his favor. Now go to work on Yasiel Puig.
He has struck out Puig twice tonight, 0 for 2. Chase has not had the sharp command that we have seen him have most of this year. He has walked 4 and hit a batter. So many guys, Bob, when they stand up there, and we saw this with some of the Astros hitters earlier this week, they're fidgety, they're waggling bats, or they're, jumping around with their fingers. Puig, for such a guy who plays with so much animation and enthusiasm, energy, he's very still up there.
He is very still, very upright in that batter's box, holds that bat high above his back shoulder, and just stands there and waits. Let's go.
Not a lot of wasted energy for a guy that seems to have a ton of it. 1-1. High bouncer, tough play for Goldie. Bare hand, underhand to Anderson, who gets a foot down as Hanley moves up, and they retire Puig for the second out. Nicely done by the D-backs that time. Not an easy play.
Well, I mean, that's a play you can never really practice. That little chopper to the right side. Pitcher might get the ball. First baseman might get the ball. Really not enough time for a lot of communication. You just have to trust that your pitcher's going to get over there to the base, and Goldie went straight to the baseball. That's the only way they get the out here at first base on Puig.
Adrian Gonzalez. There has been a left-hander throwing for the D-backs, Oliver Perez. But here's Gonzalez, who has walked and scored a run, lined into a double play his last time up. Trying to get Chase Anderson through this fifth at 97 pitches. 53 for strikes. One and one.
Change up with a lot of fading action there. Started just off the inside corner, tailed back over the inner third of the plate.
What's wrong with Adrian Gonzalez this season has been a recurring theme here in LA. And essentially, in talking to some of the Dodger people, it comes down to one thing. He's just hitting too many ground balls. He's not driving the ball or lifting it like he usually does. A lot of ground balls. And the average is sinking. He opened up this month of June by going 1 for 26.
It's funny, I have two teammates, D. Gordon and Adrian Gonzalez.
I see where you're going.
One guy you want to hit the ball on the ground, D. Gordon, to take advantage of his speed, and the other guy you do not want him to hit the ball on the ground. You'd rather see fly balls and line drives from Adrian Gonzalez. It's different styles of hitter serving different roles for their ball club.
Ooh. You can see right here the offensive numbers have been in steady decline. Got off to a great start, hit nearly 320 in March and April, 8 home runs. Barely 230 in May, batting about 100 in June. Lifts that in the air, short center field. Peralta coming in, it's drifting on him in the wind. And Chase Anderson gets through 5. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Aaron Hill leads it off for the D-backs. It's 2-1 here in LA. Friday Night Baseball is brought to you by your helpful Valley Honda dealers in their blue shirts. It's their job to be helpful. Dodger Stadium 2-1 as we start the 6th. Hey, you need a gift for Dad? Well, it's not too late. The MLB.com at Bat app and a subscription to its favorite features on his smartphone or tablet. Perfect for Dad's Day. He'll have access to features such as live look-ins, instant replay, live audio, a free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. So we'll hook you up with a present for Dad just in time. Visit MLB.com. Aaron Hill leads off the 6th. He had an RBI double his last time up. D-backs have out-hit the Dodgers so far, 5-4, but they trail it 2-1. Both LA runs coming in on Matt Kemp's homer back in the 2nd, his 6th of the year. Aaron Hill gives it a ride down the left field line. That ball is near the pole and it hooks foul. I got to tell you, Bob, Chase Anderson is not going to put this one on his wall of fame, but he did find a way to gut out 5 innings and get through that last and clear the 5th.
Oh, and any veteran pitcher will tell you that over the course of a season, you make, let's just round it off to 30 starts a year. That one grounded down to Figgins at third, should be no problem. You're going to have 4 or 5 starts every year where you feel like you've got no hitter stuff, like the other team has no chance. And you're going to have 4 or 5 or more starts where you feel like you've got no chance to get out of the first inning. But it's what you do with those other starts where maybe you've got good stuff but not great command, or you've got great command but your fastball's a little short. Maybe your curveball's not working one day. Maybe you can't throw your changeup for a strike another day. What you do in those games is going to determine the kind of season you have and how much and how often you help your team win games. And tonight was a perfect example of that for Chase. Pretty clear early on, he didn't have his good command. Just found a way to dodge and bob and weave and keep his team in the ball game.
It was 2-0 after 2. He had a leadoff single in the 3rd, kept the Dodgers from adding any more runs. There's another one to Figgins that he juggles, recovers, and throws out Prado.
Still pretty smooth down there at third base, even though he bobbled this one briefly. Stays with it. Yeah, there was a time Sean Figgins was one of the most sought after players because of his versatility. He was a guy that could play outfield, he could play second, short, or third. Had back-to-back seasons where he hit .296.
Got big money, went to Seattle, and it got ugly in a hurry. Kershaw now at 90 pitches, 56 for strikes. Cody 0 for 2. He struck out in the second. Kershaw has 7 strikeouts. He's walked 1. Diamondbacks have not had a base hit since the Aaron Hill RBI double in the third that scored their only run. Two and two. Why is his breaking stuff so much better than other guys? It's ridiculous how effective it is as you watch.
I think it's just his ability to repeat his delivery and make every pitch look like the one before. There's no difference when he throws a slider as opposed to his fastball. His curveball comes out of his hand a little bit differently, but very tough to discern what pitch is coming. And that's why you see a lot of funny looking swings on those sliders. A lot of times guys will take breaking balls on the outside corner because they think their fastball's away. He just disguises his pitches very well.
Started the opener against the D-backs in Sydney, then went 45 days before his next start because of a strained muscle located behind his shoulder. And he didn't get back until May 6th. Since his return from the injury, Kershaw has gone 4-2 in 7 starts, an ERA right about 3.5. Allowed 1 run in 6 2/3 in Sydney. Didn't go nearly as well for him his last time out against the D-backs at Chase Field. Cody Ross jumps on that one, knocks it into center for a 2-out single.
Catcher number 9, Tuffy Ghostwitch.
Looks like he left that pitch up in the zone. You see where Ellis is set up low and away. The pitch is up over the middle of the plate. Cody promptly lines it into center field for a base hit.
Tuffy Ghostwitch has singled and flied out. He got his base hit by jumping on the first pitch from Kershaw in the second. He lined it into left. Let's see what he does here.
If he gets a fastball, I imagine he's going to swing hard again. Yep. Down out of the zone.
Tuffy started out this season hitless in his first 4 games, but over his last 8, he's hit about .270 with 4 RBIs. And he's got a base hit tonight. Quick throw over to first. Cody back in time. Kershaw looks like a big fan of that kind of jump throw over there.
Well, he's so quick to home plate. He has a very quick slide step pickoff to first base. But yeah, that step off snap throw from a lefty, you can catch a lot of guys over there.
That's a little flare into center, and Tuffy Ghostwitch has his second base hit tonight against Kershaw. A pair of 2-out singles for the D-backs in the 6th.
Batting next, center fielder David Peralta.
Well, we've got Miggy time. Is it Tuffy time?
Well, it is so far tonight with 2 knocks in the ball game. Love to see David Peralta find a way to extend this inning, and we might see Miggy. I'm not sure who's going to hit for the pitcher spot. Well, it looks like Jordan Pacheco moving into the on-deck circle.
Peralta has struck out and walked. 2 on, 2 out. Up the middle. Off the mound, right to Ramirez. They get the force on Tuffy, and that ends the inning. It's a one-run ball game at LA. Back after this. Arizona Fan Express, presented by Cox Communications and Fry's Food Stores. It's headed to a D-backs game, and you can get on board by stopping by this month's participating Fry's Food Store in Globe. Your chance to win 2 seats on the Fan Express bus to and from the game on July 20th. All the info you need is at foxsportsarizona.com. Bottom 6 here at Dodger Stadium. New pitcher for the D-backs, the left-hander Oliver Perez, who has really pitched well as of late. The numbers on Ollie: 2.63 ERA, on for the 29th time this year. He has not allowed a run in 12 straight appearances.
And he's done it all with quite a bit of flair out there. We talk a lot about his Louis Tiant delivery from time to time when he turns his back all the way to the hitter. He's got a lot of things he likes to do out there on the mound, but once he lets that ball go, he's been very effective.
Well, he's got his work cut out for him to lead off the 6th. Matt Kemp is 2 for 2, including his 6th home run. That drove in both Dodger runs, a 2-run shot in the 2nd. Ball 1 from Oliver Perez. This was Matt Kemp in the 2nd. His first home run since May 10th, more than a month.
Came on a changeup, 82 miles per hour. Right in the middle of the plate from Chase Anderson.
Prado at third. Long throw, backs up Goldie, and they retire Kemp. That was hit hard right to the D-backs third baseman.
For the Dodgers, number 16, center fielder Andre Ethier.
So Prado, a nice play to retire Kemp. Andre Ethier has been aboard twice. He was hit by a pitch and singled. So he's now got a 6-game hit streak. So the lefty-lefty matchup in the D-backs' favor here. Ethier does not hit especially well in this ballpark. 220 at Dodger Stadium this year, nearly 290 on the road. And He does have the power stroke here at Dodger Stadium, all 3 of his home runs. 1-0 was swung on and missed, 1-1. And the Dodgers, as we mentioned, have not played well here at home this year. 13-19, second worst home record in the National League, ahead of only the D-backs. But the Dodgers have the second best road record in all of baseball, behind only the Oakland A's. So that has balanced things out for them a bit. They are 22-14 on the road, 13-19 at home. That is weird, wild stuff. 1-2. So they're 2 over 500 coming into tonight. 8.5 back of the Giants. Ethier, slow roller back to the mound. A lollipop throw from Perez from his knees, and just does get there to the bag in time. That one a little too high from Perez.
Well, it almost got in the lights here at Dodger Stadium. It looked like Goldie was battling the lights like we see outfielders do from time to time. Just a little tapper right off the end of the bat. Nice stop by Perez, but Goldie was trying to duck underneath that ball to keep it out of the lights.
So 2 quick outs for Perez, and now he'll work to A.J. Ellis, the catcher. I think they're making fun of him out there. Ellis has walked and hit into a double play. However, Perez has been a very good pickup for the D-backs in Kevin Tower. He's worked out really nicely this year. Last 22 games, he's got an ERA under 1 with 21 strikeouts over that span. Not more than just a lefty specialist.
Oh, with Matt Reynolds on the shelf, it gave the Diamondbacks that second lefty in the bullpen. Joe Thatcher's a guy that normally is used just to come in and get out 1, maybe 2 left-handed hitters in a row. We've seen Kirk Gibson extend him a few times to get through a couple of righties to get back to a left-handed hitter, but Oliver Perez is equally effective against righties and lefties.
He throws a little harder too. He worked 90-92 when need be. Didn't give A.J. Ellis anything to hit there. That's a 4-pitch walk. So now the Diamondbacks pitchers so far, Chase Anderson and Oliver Perez, have thrown ball 1 to 11 straight Dodgers. They have been behind 1-0 all night long. Housekeeping for the Dodgers starter there. And Sean Figgin steps up. He has flied out and walked 0 for 1. Hey, dude, you're on deck.
They sent Scott Van Slyke up into the on-deck circle and then called him back. It looks like they want Kershaw to go up there instead.
And the rule is you got to have somebody out there, right?
Somebody's got to be out there, yeah.
Well, they just said you get the guy with a beard out there, and there's some confusion. 1-1. Figgins back with the Dodgers this year. Did not have a job in baseball last season. Cut by the Marlins at the end of spring training and sat out the entire year. 1-2. LA Kings were told just beat the Rangers. And word has gotten around here at Dodger Stadium. So high fives all around. The Stanley Cup comes to LA. I know my Bruins and your Blackhawks ended up with the short end of the deal there.
Well, of course, we both want to see the Coyotes bring that Stanley Cup back to the Valley, but I've been a long-time Blackhawks fan. Anybody but the Kings.
It just has that feel to it, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Yeah. Hard to get excited. 2-2.
What are you going to do with the Stanley Cup trophy? I'm going to take it to the mall.
Walk around with it.
Yeah.
Take a selfie with it.
Go out on the freeway. Sit in traffic.
They didn't do that when Henri Richard won a few. That didn't happen. Bobby Orr, Wayne Cashman. 2-2.
Boy, Ollie needs to make some kind of an adjustment. He's consistently missing up and away from these right-handed hitters. As odd as it may sound, he might need to do a tee on here. It looks like he's just flying open in his delivery a little bit, trying to be a little bit too quick. Maybe that exaggerated upper body turn would keep him in a better throwing position.
He has issued a pair of 2-out walks. James Hoy says ball 4. Let's see that one again.
Anytime you're ready to slide that robot umpire back there, I'm all for it. James Hoy has had a horrible night behind the plate tonight.
That's a really good pitch right there.
Oh, man.
You couldn't put it in a better spot. So Kershaw will hit. A.J. Ellis is at second. Sean Figgins at first. Kershaw struck out his last time up, 0 for 1. Pops it up over the screen. Trying to hit a guy in a Kings jersey. Running around high-fiving everybody down there. Here's my question. If you're that big a Kings fan and you're literally taking a victory lap around the stadium wearing your Kings sweater, why aren't you watching the game?
That's a good question.
I think he'd at least be home watching on TV. I'm glad he's at the ballpark and everything, but
I guess you can't be in two places at once. But
watch on your phone or something. Yeah. Rob Reiner, meathead. He's locked in. Swing and bunt, tough play for Prado. No play. 2 walks and an infield dribbler have loaded the bases with 2 outs. Go back to that missed strike 3 call by Hoy on Figgins.
Well, after trying to bunt for a base hit earlier in the at-bat, he takes a full swing and puts a perfect bunt down the third base line.
Here comes Mike Harkey. Have you found pitchers, not that this is true with Ollie, but have you found guys that when they don't get a call, they just kind of come unraveled?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's pretty obvious in the history of this game. There are some guys that one bad call will ruin the entire night. I mean, you'd like to think Oliver Perez has been around long enough to shake it off, get back up on that bump, and do what he has to do to get out of this jam. But I've seen pitchers that it really got between their ears.
Ellis, Figgins, and Kershaw. 2 outs, bases loaded. Strike 1 to D. Gordon. Gordon is 0 for 3. He has done all his damage tonight with the glove. 2 sparkling defensive plays in the top of the 5th. One and one. On the ground is short, Chris Owings. And Perez leaves him loaded. Through 6, it's still a 1-run game. Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you in part by Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Cox Communications. Bundle and save with Cox. Los Angeles celebrates a Stanley Cup victory. Alec Martinez, double overtime game winner. They beat the Rangers, and they win the Stanley Cup, and they just show the winning goal on the scoreboard here in the ballpark, and everybody is fired up. In the meantime, Clayton Kershaw is back out there, and we are set for Jordan Pacheco's D-backs debut. He will hit for the pitcher.
Yeah, last night he arrived after the game started, greeted his new teammates, manager, and coaching staff in the dugout at Minute Maid Park in Houston. Got on the bus to the airport, got on the plane here to L.A., got to bed probably around 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and here he is taking his first at bat as a member of the Diamondbacks at Dodger Stadium.
Well, might as well throw him right in the deep end. Jordan Pacheco, 28 years old, hit .236 for the Rockies this year. Claimed off waivers by the D-backs. This is a guy who hit .309 in more than 130 games for Colorado just 2 years ago when he led all major league rookies in hitting. A very nice pickup by the D-backs. He can play everywhere, including catcher, where he looked real good for Colorado. Jumps on the first one from Kershaw, one hopper to Gordon. And there's one out in the 7th.
Shortstop number 16.
Chris Owings. CO in the leadoff spot tonight has doubled and scored 1 for 3. And Chris has been a very effective bat against these Dodgers this year. .367, including a homer. That was going into the ball game tonight. And he's got a double and a run scored. Kershaw now over 100 pitches. 65 of his 102 for strikes. Right to Figgins at third. D. Gordon tonight at second base, turning in a couple of dazzling defensive plays. He's our APS Energy All-Star.
Hasn't made a noise at the plate up to this point, but a couple of sparkling defensive plays from his position at second base to take hits away from Diamondbacks.
And keep in mind how important those plays are as we look at a 2-1 game now with 2 outs in the 7th. Gerardo Parra 1 for 3, a single in the first. Another strike one from Kershaw. Little flare and a shallow left. That will drop in for a base hit. Parra with 2 hits tonight against the lefty Kershaw.
Batting next, first baseman, number 44.
Chance for Goldie to get up there with a runner on base. Paul Goldschmidt a single in the first. He's 1 for 3. There's Perez, former closer, warming up for the Dodgers. Goldie jumps on the first one and drives it to center. Ethier in front of the wall has it, and that's the inning. Kershaw through 7. D-backs trail it 2-1. Minnesota, as the captain Derek Jeter takes the field in his final All-Star game. It promises to be an emotional and unforgettable night. Special coverage begins at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific on Fox Sports 1, followed by the 2014 Major League Baseball All-Star Game, 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific on Fox. And hopefully number 44 in Sedona Red will be standing at first base. Paul Goldschmidt right behind Adrian Gonzalez in the All-Star balloting. Vote now, vote often. It's your duty as an American. As you can see, the numbers favor Goldie. All the numbers except the vote totals. And D-back Nation working hard. We're sure to change that.
If all the Diamondbacks fans that are watching the telecast right now just log on to your computer, go to azdbacks.com. You can vote 35 times for Goldie. If everybody does that, we'll get him into the All-Star game.
Yes, he went. Strike one, says Bill Welke down at first on Hanley Ramirez against the new pitcher for the D-backs. It's the right-hander Will Harris. Hanley, despite being a fairly late addition to the lineup, a late green light anyway, with that nagging shoulder injury, has had a pretty good night. He's been on base twice, a single and a walk. An irritation of the AC joint in his right shoulder. He had a cortisone shot this week. And he laces that into left. Cody Ross not able to cut it off. It rolls to the wall, and Ramirez rolls into second. His 18th double. He's been on base 3 times.
Hanley Ramirez for me is like another Ramirez that swings the bat pretty good. A Ramos Ramirez. If you throw them breaking ball strikes, that's right in the middle of their swing. If you bounce them in the dirt, they might chase them anyway. If you lead them off the outside corner, they might chase that pitch anyway. But if you throw a breaking ball for a strike, Hanley and Ramos Ramirez are right on them.
In the middle of their swing. What do you mean? Just where the bat is all the time?
It just the preparation that he has with the high leg kick and everything. Occasionally he can be tardy on a fastball. But that breaking ball, he recognizes it so quickly, he slows down his stride and is right on that curveball strike.
Ciel Puig for 3 is struck out twice. So it's a pitch recognition issue, and then they have the appropriate timing to adjust and get on it. 1-0 to Puig.
You see, he's geared for a fastball, but when that breaking ball hangs in the strike zone, especially on the inside part of the plate, he has the ability to slow everything down just enough that he can get on that off-speed breaking ball.
7th hit for the Dodgers. D-backs have 8, but trail at 2-1. 1-2. Like Kershaw is done. Brian Wilson is warming up at the Dodger bullpen. I think that's Brian Wilson.
Sure?
It's so hard to tell. Jeez. Rolls it over to first. Ramirez moves up to third, 1 away.
Dodgers first baseman number 23, Adrian Gonzalez.
Adrian Gonzalez. Walked and scored in the second, came in on the Kemp homer. He lined into a double play and flied out to center. Infield in on the grass. Harris misses that one upstairs. 1-0.
Harris doesn't appear to be especially sharp tonight either.
Historically, pitchers have raved about pitching here at Dodger Stadium. The mound always seems to be a little higher here. Of course, it isn't. It's measured regularly to make sure it's within the limitations of the rule book.
I saw you out there earlier with your tape measure.
Yeah, and the slide rule and everything. Yeah. Maybe it has something to do with we talked about the grandstands here behind home plate, 4 decks, and maybe it's just an optical illusion, but pitchers for years have talked about how much they love the mound here at Dodger Stadium.
The actual dirt.
Well, the way it's shaped, I think the pitchers feel like it's a little bit higher, and if psychologically that helps you, then so be it.
Well, no advantage for Will Harris. Gonzalez lines an RBI single into right, and it's 3-1 LA.
There's a cutter that just didn't cut that time. Stayed right there on the inner third of the plate. It was intended to move in on the hands of Adrian Gonzalez, but just never took the break.
Hanley jogs on in from third. 3-1 ball game now. And here's Matt Kemp, who has homered and singled, 2 for 3. Routine fly ball for Pari in right. 2 down. Fans, tonight's broadcast is on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea. They are watching right now around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. And to all of you, from all of us here at the Diamondbacks at Fox Sports Arizona, welcome and thank you for your service. You're watching the hockey game. So the LA Kings win the Stanley Cup in double overtime, beating those New York Rangers. Andre Ethier. Andre Ethier kind of gone from the odd man out in the Dodger outfield to something of a comeback story. There was a 10-day span in the middle of May when he started only 2 games. Don Mattingly said that Puig would be the right fielder, Kemp would be in center field, and then it really didn't work out. Kemp put on a display of some really subpar defense out there, and the Dodgers finally had enough and benched him and then moved him. And Ethier has gotten the nod in center field and done pretty well out there. In that shell game they've played all year with the Dodger outfield. Amazing how things change. Narratives change over the course of a month, of half a season, and the full season. You always hear managers say that. Well, these things have a way of working themselves out, and they always seem to do. And it's funny.
If there's a guy coming off the disabled list, for example, in a couple of days, you want to know, well, what are you going to do? Who's going to go when that guy comes off the DL? Well, we've got 2 days. We might get 6 players injured between now and the time that guy comes off the disabled list, so we'll make the announcement when we have to.
He strikes out Ethier, but the Dodgers add a run. We go to the 8th. It's now a 3-1 ball game. Century Link, your link to what's next. Aaron Hill, Martin Prado, and Cody Ross due up for the D-backs in the 8th.
Hopeful Valley Honda dealers as we start the 8th inning in LA. D-backs trail the Dodgers 3-1. Well, it's that time. As promised earlier in the ball game, the AT&T fan photo. Using the hashtag AZFanPhoto, the winner is Eric. It's a solid effort.
Yeah. Looks like a very happy family there. The gentleman on the right looks a little bit like David Peralta.
Yeah, it is. All right, Eric, nice job. Congratulations, and thanks to all of you tweeting in your fan photos. They're all on file deep in the archives of the Brentley Committee, and they can all be used at any point, so don't give up. You may see your picture shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. The circus is in town. Here's Brian Wilson.
Yeah, don't send us any pictures of Brian Wilson for your AT&T fan photos. They will not make air.
Hanley Ramirez is out of the ball game. Miguel Rojas has replaced him at shortstop. Ramirez still battling that bum shoulder. Aaron Hill leads it off. D-backs down 3-1. Aaron Hill, an RBI double in the third. Drove in the D-backs only run. A big 2-out hit. He's 1 for 3. What do you think of all this? I had to ask.
I'm a baseball analyst.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a psychiatrist. For goodness sakes, he obviously has some kind of issues.
Why would you say that?
Look at me! Look at me!
He's got the sleeves and the beard and the mohawk and the whole thing. I think that might be the world's first mohawk ponytail.
Looks like he's hiding behind a bush.
1-1. Well, Brian Wilson has not allowed a run in his last 9 1/3 innings over a 10-game stretch since the middle of May. Aaron Hill, will that get by Gordon? Well, nothing will tonight. He throws it over the head of Gonzalez, however. And the D-backs have the leadoff man aboard in the 8th. Well, it had been a spectacular night for Gordon right up until the moment he tried to throw to first.
Yeah, might have had just a little bit more time than he realized. But once again, showing that great range, that quick first step to get him going in that direction. Didn't field it cleanly, but he was still sliding as he attempted to make that throw of almost zero chance of making an accurate toss to first base when you're still moving, sliding across the ground. Nice try.
They rule it a base hit, so Aaron Hill 2 for 4. Here's Prado. He lines it the other way into right. First two have reached against Brian Wilson in the 8th. Tying runs aboard, nobody out.
Left fielder number 7, Cody Ross.
Cut fastball out over the plate. Martin Prado with a great approach that time. Just stayed right on it. Nice quick swing. Produced that line drive into right field.
Great chance for the D-backs. Down 2. 2 aboard. No outs for Ross, who singled his last time up. 1 for 3. Cody Ross, 2 RBI shy of 500 for his career. Find a way to knock these in and get 500. Will be all tied up.
Good sinker that time from Wilson down low in the zone, bottoming out underneath the swing of Cody Ross. Cody's 3 for 7 lifetime with a couple of doubles against Brian Wilson. However, he struck out 3 times. So what do you gather from that? That's a tough one.
All or nothing. Late timeout granted by James Hoy. A.J. Ellis and Brian Wilson not happy. Dodger bullpen still busy. The left-hander J.P. Howell is up. You got Ross up now. Tuffy scheduled to hit behind him, and then the left-hander Peralta. 1-1. Brian Wilson not especially sharp tonight either. 5 strikes and 4 balls. First 2 have reached. Aaron Hill is the runner at second. Martin Prado the tying run at first. Inside, 3-1. Wheels are coming off here for 0-0.
A lot of activity in that Diamondbacks dugout. Didi Gregorius has a bat walking around behind the rest of the team. Miguel Montero has a helmet and a bat. Tony Campana getting his legs loose. A lot of possibilities here in this inning with 2 on, nobody out.
Cody's feet weren't even on the ground when he swung through that one. 3-2.
Wilson pitches mostly with 2 pitches. The sinker that moves down and into the righty, and the cutter that moves away from the righty. He'll occasionally mix in a breaking ball just to give you a different look, but basically it's just sinker cutter.
Center field, right to Ethier. Easy play. Everybody holds up, 1 away.
Batting next, catcher number 9.
Tuffy goes a wish. He's got a pair of singles. He's 2 for 3.
Well, and if you're asking yourself why no Miguel Montero, Miggy is 0 for 10 lifetime against Brian Wilson. 4 strikeouts. And Tuffy's got a couple knocks in the game already tonight. There may be a better matchup in the next inning when you would like Miguel Montero to take the at bat.
Could go with Didi here as an option from the left-hand side. Tuffy 2 for 3. There's a strike, 0-1. Up the middle and throw into center. Here comes Aaron Hill, and he will score. It's a 3-2 ball game. Tuffy goes a wish, his 3rd hit tonight.
That's why you don't hit for Tuffy.
Center fielder David Peralta.
Hanging cutter up above the belt that time, and Tuffy takes it right back over the mound up the middle of the field. They brought Rojas in as a defensive replacement at shortstop, and even he couldn't get up the middle quick enough to make the play.
Long, slow walk to the mound for A.J. Ellis. 3 singles for the D-backs against Brian Wilson, who opened up the 8th. And now they have the tying run at second, the go-ahead run at first. Still only 1 out, and Peralta steps in. Here comes Don Mattingly. Howell, the left-hander, has been warming. And Miguel Montero, as you can see there, has joined Peralta in the on-deck circle. Pitcher spot is due up after Peralta. Don't go anywhere. It's a 1-run game here in L.A. have the tying and go-ahead runs aboard with 1 out after a career-high 3-hit night for Tuffy Gozawish. And on to face David Peralta is the left-hander J.P. Howell.
Fastball curveball combination from Howell. No righties available off the bench at this point. Miguel Montero's out into the on-deck circle. You also have Tony Campana and Didi Gregorius available.
Miguel Montero on deck. Pitcher spot is due up next. Peralta 0 for 2. He walked in the 4th. Ball 1. Aaron Hill led off the inning with a single against Brian Wilson. Martin Prado single. Cody Ross flew out. And Tuffy Gozawish, his 3rd hit tonight, made it a 3-2 game. And it's put 2 on with 1 out in the 8th. Two and 0. David Peralta, 11 games this year. He's hit in 9 of them. 6 multi-hit games, including 3 last night at Houston. That's foul. 2 and 1. D-backs have seen a lot of J.P. Howell. He's given up just 3 hits and 7 2/3 scoreless his last 10 appearances against Arizona, going back to last June. Two and 1. Got him. Second time tonight Peralta has struck out. 2 down.
3 straight sinkers and then the big curveball from Howell gets a swing and a miss from Peralta. Now Miguel Montero will take the at bat in the pitcher spot.
Miggy, his 9th home run of the year last night in Houston. Only 2 behind his home run total from all of last season. 37 RBIs, 5 shy of last year's mark. But hitting under 160 against left-hand pitching this year. Prado is the tying run at second. Gozawish the go-ahead run at first. D-backs bullpen is ready. You've got a pair of right-handers. Brad Ziegler on the left of your screen there. Evan Marshall on the right. Is in the air to left field. Matt Kemp, Andre Ethier. Who wants it? It's Ethier in front of the wall, and that's the inning. Diamondbacks strand 2, but they get 1. Home half of the 8th coming up. It's a 3-2 ball game in L.A. Our Gila River game summary. You see that 2 there in the second inning for LA. That has been the game's big hit. Adrian Gonzalez opened up that inning by drawing a leadoff walk against Chase Anderson, and then Matt Kemp hit his 6th of the year. And that has accounted for 2 of LA's 3 runs. And now on to try and keep it a 1-run deficit. 3-2 home half of the game. The right-hander Evan Marshall on to the D-backs.
We saw Marshall and Ziegler warming up in that Diamondbacks bullpen. I would assume that Ziegler would have been in the game had it been tied or the Diamondbacks took a lead and still trailing by a run. Instead, it's Evan Marshall.
He'll work to A.J. Ellis, Sean Figgins, and the pitcher's spot. Bottom third of the Dodger order in the 8th. Ellis so far has lined into a double play and walked twice. Dodgers played an afternoon game in Cincinnati yesterday, flying back west to LA much earlier in the day than the D-backs did last night. When we left from Houston, Dodgers lost the last 2 games at the Reds, shut down by Johnny Cueto and Alfredo Simon. Base hit.
Third baseman, number 18, Sean Figgins.
Sean Figgins. He's walked twice. Pitcher spot is due up next. Justin Turner is in the on-deck circle. He has done most of the work at third while Uribe's been injured, but Figgins got the start tonight. And he's played good defense, and he's got on base twice. John Mattingly pushed the right button there. And Turner has played well filling in for Uribe. He would hit for the pitcher. One and one. Check at the Dodger bullpen. Shows that a 1-run lead in the 8th. The closer looks ready. Two big outs there for J.P. Howell against Peralta and Montero in the top of this inning. Gets it down. Prado picks it up and just does throw him out. Really good bunt there by Figgins, but Prado made the play in time, says Bill Welke down at first.
Boy, Figgins bunts it right off the end of the bat, which kind of deadens the ball. It doesn't roll nearly as far as you would expect. Evan Marshall has to get out of the way as Martin Prado really had to rush his throw that time, just in time to get Sean Figgins. That'll take some of the sting off of that ball. If you bunt it off the barrel of the bat, it'll recoil and roll way out into the infield, but he had it up near the end of the bat, just kind of deadened it on the left side.
Well, here's Justin Turner. 285, already more homers and RBIs in 48 games for the Dodgers this year than he had in 86 games with the Mets last season. And he has been getting most of the work at third with Uribe out with that hamstring injury. Turner 19 games since Uribe went down, hitting just under 350. And he's a guy with backward platoon splits, a right-hand hitter who does much better against right-hand pitching. 1-0.
And with Chase Anderson starting the ball game for the Diamondbacks, Don Mattingly had every lefty in the lineup that he could possibly get in there, so his bench is all right-handed.
put Rojas in the game at short for Ramirez, and now he's using Turner here to hit for the pitcher.
Yeah, he didn't make a double switch when he brought Rojas into the ball game, which turned out to be a good move, because now you can pick your pinch hitter in this spot where the pitcher was hitting. If you make the double switch, whoever the defensive player is that comes in the game would hit in the 9 spot, and you have no choice. That's who's going to hit there.
So that worked out really well with a runner at second here. It's Turner hitting instead of Rojas, who is not a great offensive player by any stretch. 1 ball and 2 strikes. A.J. Ellis, the runner at second. 1 out here in the game. Dodgers appear to be one of those teams that kind of followed the Red Sox trend last year with the beards. These guys have got some serious facial hair. How do you think Notre Dame's going to do this year? Doesn't he look like the Fighting Irish
like
guy?
Leprechaun, yeah.
3-2. I mean, if he put his fists up like in that pose he does.
I have a feeling the Dodgers are going to have a lot of surplus razors at the end of the season. Every ball club is supplied with the official blades of Major League Baseball.
Well, they give you free razors.
Unlimited supply in the clubhouses. I don't think the Dodgers are using them very often.
Beginning to pile up back there. Well, they spent $100 million in the ballpark, and they redid the whole clubhouse, so I assume there's room back there.
Probably have a storage area for unused razors.
It's actually something Don Mattingly has talked a little bit about. They spent all that money, a new clubhouse, a new trainer's room, a weight room, a meal room. They got a video room. They even built what they call a quiet room. There's some big screen TVs and a massage table, and that's apparently where the players hide from the media. You can't go back there, and so they all hang out back there. Off the fist, and it drops into right center field. They will wave A.J. Ellis. There's a play at the plate. The throw is offline, and he scores. Pinch hit RBI single for Turner, and it's 4-2.
A lot of times the determining factor for a third base coach whether to send a runner, especially a slow runner, is what's the position of the outfielder. Is he coming straight in, or is he moving to his right or his left? And that time Parra was moving to his right. Didn't quite get his shoulder closed up enough when he made that throw to the plate, and it really tailed into foul territory, allowing the slow-footed A.J. Ellis to score.
Lorenzo Bundy made the right call there, so now it's a 2-run Dodger lead. And here's the leadoff man, D. Gordon, and he knocks it into right. First pitch is a base hit. 3 hits in the inning against Evan Marshall. So it's been a rough night for the D-backs bullpen. Oliver Perez has stranded the bases loaded in the 6th, but L.A. got a run in the 7th against Will Harris, and now 1 in the 8th against Evan Marshall. And here comes Mike Harkey.
D. Gordon trying to get the attention of the Dodger bench. I'm not sure. He was kind of pointing to the back of his leg. I don't think he injured himself, but making faces down there. Davey Lopes also was pointing into that third base dugout. He's putting his glove on there. Looks like he's going to stay in the ball game.
Either that or he's expecting his Falcon anytime soon. And now we'll have a pinch runner coming to the ball game for Turner.
For the Dodgers, pinch running, number 35, Jamie Romack.
Jamie Romack is in.
Pinch run for that guy.
Get him out of my way. Put somebody faster ahead of me so I don't run up their back.
Jamie Romack from Canada, the 28-year-old rookie. Miguel Rojas 0-1, so Turner's out of there. Rojas 3 hits and 10 at-bats in the major league so far in his career. They've had some injuries in the infield with Ramirez banged up, Uribe out. They've had to call up some guys from AAA Albuquerque. So here's Rojas 0-2. Rojas hitting .302 in 51 games at Albuquerque when he was called up. .25 years old from Venezuela. D-backs bullpen, Joe Thatcher warming. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. 2 down. Here comes Puig.
Right fielder, number 66, Yasiel Puig.
Yasiel Puig so far 0 for 4. He has struck out twice. That's a fair ball, and he's out of there. James Hoyt jumped on that one.
Now the plate itself is in fair territory. It looked like that ball was laying right on top of home plate. He beats it down into the dirt right there in front of home plate. Good play by Tuffy to bounce on it. That's a fair ball.
And you're out of there. It's a 4-2 ball game. On to the 9th we go.
Time for our Subway in-game box score. The highlight there near the bottom of your screen. Tuffy Gozawish, a career-high 3 hits, but the Diamondbacks start the night needing 2 runs.
Well, the way those hits are scattered up and down the lineup, you would expect it to produce more than 2 runs in the game, but just weren't able to bunch them together in the same inning.
And so it's a 4-2 ball game as we start the ninth, and here is the Dodger closer. This is Kenley Jansen. 17 of 19 in his save opportunities this year. He has converted his last 13 in a row, although his last save opportunity, it's been a while, June 2nd against the White Sox. They just had a road trip, and he did not get a save opportunity on that trip, so 17 for 19 on the year. And you see the numbers, 44 strikeouts in 26 innings.
Boy, and basically doing it with 1 pitch. He throws cutter after cutter after cutter. He does have a slider that he'll roll up there every now and again, but about 9 out of every 10 pitches is going to be a cut fastball.
Chris Owings will lead it off. He doubled and scored in the 3rd, 1 for 4. Strike 1.
Kind of eased into it. The first cutter was 90 to start the sequence. That last one was 95.
They complete the strikeout. 1 down. Take a look at our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game, or in this case, plays of the game. Tuffy Gozawish, 3 hits, a career high.
Boy, when you rarely get a chance to start a ball game, it's so tough to keep yourself sharp. But Tuffy, as we know, works so hard, waiting for those opportunities, getting extra work in the cage, coming out early for extra hitting on the field, and it really paid off for him tonight.
Good night for Tuffy. Also a good night for Gerardo Parra. Don't want to lose sight of that. 2 for 4, a pair of singles against a lefty Kershaw. Over the head of Rojas and into left. Base hit for Parra. And the D-backs will get the tying run to the plate with 1 down in the 9th. And here comes Goldie. Parra 3 for 5.
A nice easy swing by Parra. Doesn't try to overpower that cut fastball. Just get the barrel on it. Loops it over the head of the shortstop Rojas. And that brings the tying run to the plate. That's all you wanted was a base runner.
Goldie 1 for 4, a single in the 1st. He's now hit in 7 straight and 9 of his last 10. Parra takes off. It's foul back 0-1. Jordan Pacheco out there in case somebody needs to throw to one of the catchers. Chilly down there apparently. Paul Goldschmidt, .337 career hitter here at Dodger Stadium. 6 homers, 20 RBIs in 23 games. Parra at first. Here's the 0-1. They are not holding the runner on, and there he goes. Throws into second. Defensive indifference, no stolen base. 1-1 to Goldie. He does have a homer off Jansen. Two and one.
We've documented it in trips here to Dodger Stadium in the past. The ball generally doesn't carry real well at night, but with Paul Goldschmidt's power, it doesn't make any difference about the marine layer or the cool air. If he gets one, it will go.
Just need a flat cutter here. Three balls and one strike. Friday the 13th, D-backs and Dodgers. Boy, that is some moon. Full moon. Could something be in the air? 3 balls and 1 strike. Ball 4. Tying runs aboard with 1 down.
Second baseman, number 2, Aaron Hill.
Aaron Hill, a pair of hits, an RBI double in the 3rd. He singled and scored a run in the 8th.
And in limited at bats, he's had a measure of success against Kenley Jansen. 3 for 8 with a double. Only 1 strikeout, so he's putting the ball in play. Find a gap.
Exciting night in the NL West. Just up the road, Sergio Romo just blew a 2-run 9th inning lead for the Giants against the Rockies. They're all tied at 4. Might the same thing happen here with the Dodgers closer in a 4-2 game. Oh, and 2.
Ooh, got one to hit there. Just above the belt, inner third of the plate. Boy, if nothing else, extend this inning as long as you possibly can. Force Jansen to throw a boatload of pitches out there. See if that affects his availability for the next 2 days.
1 ball and 2 strikes. That's out of play.
Another pitch that's straight over the heart of the plate. You see Ellis consistently moving out onto that outside corner at the knees, trying to get that cutter away from a dead pull hitter. And Jansen has made a couple of mistakes that caught a lot of plate.
Arnold Parra, the runner at second. Paul Goldschmidt at first. 1 out. 1 and 2 on Aaron Hill. Paper airplanes are making their way down onto the field from the upper levels.
Well, that was a heck of an emergency swing right there just to stay alive. That was a cutter down below knee level. Just get a piece.
Turning into one of those at bats where kind of wears him out, sees a bunch of pitches, and hopefully eventually gets one. Pitch number 7 coming up.
And we did see Jansen break out the slider on Chris Owings to start this inning. He struck him out with a slider in the mid-80s. Steady diet of cutters here to Aaron Hill. Ahead in the count 1-2. It wouldn't surprise me if they try to throw a slider right here. Get a swing and a miss from Aaron Hill.
Base hit. Glenn Sherlock will wave Parra in from second. He will score, and it's a 1-run ball game. Third hit tonight for Aaron Hill, his second RBI, and it's 4-3.
Boy, what a great at bat by Aaron Hill. I'm going to tell you how tough it is to face a cutter ball pitcher like Jansen. It's almost an optical illusion. You have to swing where the ball's going to be, not where you see it. Fouled off a lot of tough pitches there. Got a couple good pitches to hit. Couldn't make solid contact, but ultimately gets that base hit through the left side to pull the D-backs within a run. Tying run at second base.
With only one out, and Martin Prado steps in. Look at those numbers against the Dodger closer career. 500 including 2 homers. He's 1 for 4 tonight, as single as last time up. And more paper airplanes coming down from Dodger fans. So note, dear Adrian.
Yo, Adrian.
I need 4 tickets for Sunday. Tying run is at second. Go ahead run at first. 1 out. Ball 1. A strikeout of Owings, a single by Parra, a walk to Goldie, a single by Hill. Here's the 1-0. Popped up first base side, drifting near the seats. Gonzalez gives it a look, but it's just in the D-back dugout. Josh Comenter over there. I had you, Adrian, all the way. Josh just moved that foul with his mind.
Yes, he did. Yeah. Jedi mind tricks.
Yep. These aren't the droids you're looking for. 1-1. They are making this guy work. 21 pitches in the inning and still only 1 out. Struck him out.
Looked like Ellis wanted that ball up. And Jansen throws it down. He struggled with his command here tonight, but got Martin Prado to swing and a miss and a cutter down low out of the zone.
It's up to Cody Ross. 2 down in the 9th. Cody 1 for 4, a single in the 6th. Paul Goldschmidt, the tying run at second. Aaron Hill, the go-ahead run at first.
Time to change those numbers. Got to start somewhere. Might as well be right now.
In the air to right, Puig. And the Dodgers win it 4-3. Well, the Dodgers only 13-19 at Dodger Stadium this year, coming in the second worst home record in the National League and coming off a disappointing road trip, but they get a big home run from Matt Kemp in the second and on a couple of late runs against the D-backs bullpen, and Bob, they hang on and win it 4-3.
Yeah, really the story of the game for me though was Clayton Kershaw tonight after a couple of subpar outings against the Diamondbacks, at least by his standards. He showed up tonight, had really good stuff, and held the Diamondbacks to only 1 run while he was in the game for 7 innings.
And with 1 home run hit in today's game, a total of $6,500 raised for prostate cancer research. We invite you to participate in the Home Run Challenge by making a donation. You can go to homerunchallenge.org. Dodgers take the first of 3 here at Dodgers.